please welcome my guest for this evening, Hazumi. Hello, Hazumi. Welcome on in.
Thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm super excited to have you here. I can tell that folks in chat are already familiar with you, but for anyone who might not be, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, I am Hazumi. I am a Lioness Knight, here to protect you forever. I enjoy FPS games, Final Fantasy XIV, and singing is my top 3 things that I like.
Yes, and those are definitely some things that we're going to be discussing tonight, but just from the start, I feel the need to say, I usually don't comment too much on models. That just, I feel like it's something that ends up being brought up a lot in talk shows, and I try to sort of avoid the too obvious things, but I need to say, you have some top-tier ear wiggles.
Thank you very much.
Your ear wiggles are so good. They're very fluffy, they're very slow and nice, they're really, really good. Just props to the rigger there.
Thank you. Yes, my rigger is amazing. Honestly, like, when I got the model back, even just getting like some of the previews back, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is really top tier. So I was very happy with it. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, and definitely getting some agreement in chat as well. Well, like I said, we have a lot to talk about tonight, and you've been very, very busy lately that it took a little while for me to actually be able to find some time for this, so I really do appreciate you taking time out. But one of the things that you actually released more recently was a new cover, and you actually release covers pretty frequently, that I'd say probably about once a month, once every 2 months at the very least, that it's very clearly something that you enjoy and is very important to you. And your most recent one was Lucifer, and I have to guess that the choice there was probably timing for Halloween.
Yes, it was my Halloween cover. And yeah, you're correct. I typically do try to release a cover once a month. There was some issues with like timing and getting like art back and all this stuff. So this is my first cover I've released in about 3 months, which is very unusual for me. I usually, again, try to release one every month. But yes, this was for the Halloween season. I'm glad we got to, push it out there.
And I guess when you decide what songs you want to cover, that are these usually ones that you've listened to for a long time, ones that you've either not necessarily grown up with, but that you have become very important to you, or has there ever been a song where just like you heard it, it was released last week, and you're like, I need to cover this now?
It's funny because I feel like what I release is like a mix of all of that. There's some covers, like for example, like my Brave Shine cover that I released with my redesign debut. I was like, I love the song, and I love Fate. I love the Fate series. So when I knew like my new design, I was like, this is the song I'm gonna sing for the new design debut. So things like that, or like this cover of Lucifer, like I really like the cover, or I really like the song. And so for maybe like half a year, I've been like, oh, I need to release this for Halloween because I think it's perfect. But then there's other songs like Mephisto, which is the Oshinoko ending that I released. I did do a TV-sized version first, and that was a song, for example, that I heard it and I heard the ending and I was like, I need to sing that song. Like, this is a song I need to sing.
Went for that one because obviously one of the covers of the year has been Idol.
I know. It's kind of funny that like I've thought about that too. Like, it's funny that I went with the ending instead of the opening. Not to say like I don't like mainstream stuff, because that's definitely not true. But like for me, I was like, like I feel like I was trying to step away from like the Idol, design or like the Idol theme. So I was like, you know what? Let me try this one instead. Like, it was like my transition into like this new, I guess like design and new like theme, because it's funny because in the Mephisto cover that I did, actually at the end I like kill off my old design.
So I admittedly have not watched the full video.
That is okay. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna kill it off, and so I just thought it was like perfect to do the ending instead of the opening in that case. But yeah, I do one day maybe want to either do a cover or just like sing it during karaoke, like a proper one, because I did try once and I was like, this song is so fast.
Oh, it's very fast.
Yes, but my best friend did an Idol cover, so I think it's kind of cute that he did the opening and then I I did the ending. Yeah. So I really like that dichotomy as well.
Yeah. And you mentioned to me that you don't watch a ton of anime, but I'm guessing you have probably seen Oshinoko.
I've seen like half of it. Like
Okay, so
I
you've
was
seen some of
watching
it,
it. Yeah. I was watching. I think I got up to like episode 4 or 5, and then I just got really busy. And like
Oh, gosh,
once I get
know
really
that.
busy, it's like, oh well.
If you're watching and you're consistent, you're good. But as soon as something gets in the way and you drop it and it's out of sight, out of mind, it's like, oh, it's been 6 months since I was watching that. I should get back to that, but I'm so busy.
Exactly. And that happens for a lot of anime I watch. And it's kind of weird because sometimes I like when things end, so then I can just watch it on my own. I don't have to wait every week. But then if I don't do that, if I don't watch every week, then I just kind of like, forget about it, like you said.
Yeah, just the explosion of Oshinoko and Idol in particular, the song.
Yeah.
In general, not only in the VTuber community, but just sort of in the anime nerddom community, has been explosive. That it feels like it came out of nowhere, and the folks that read the manga are all very proud of themselves. You're like, yeah, we knew this was really good, but it feels like it went under the radar until release day, and then it was everywhere.
I kind of agree too, because my friend Yori like was talking about the manga for so long, like but even before the anime was announced. So I know that he was definitely one of the people that were happy that it got like the hype that it did. Like I really need to finish watching it and read it. But yeah, I definitely agree that it just kind of blew up for sure.
I actually haven't counted. Do you know offhand how many covers you've done to date?
I don't know the exact number, but if I include,
it's a fair few.
Yeah. I think in the almost 3 years that I've been VTubing, I've released and been a part of about 40 covers.
Wow.
And then 1 original song so far.
Ooh. And which one was that? I do not know that one off the top of my head.
It's okay. It's called Twilight Blue. I released it. It's actually been the 1 year anniversary was on November 1st. So it's about a little over a year.
And what went into that one? Was that how long had you been wanting to do an original? First off, that obviously music being very near and dear to your heart. At what point did you decide, okay, I want to actually do an original? And then how did Twilight Blue specifically come about?
Yeah, so I feel like I had wanted to do an original for a while. My friend Bao, when she released her first original, 52 Hearts, I was like, oh my god, I love this. Like, I would love to like release something of my own one day. And so I think from there, that was when I kind of like decided like I would like to do this someday. And actually this song, it was released November 1st, 2022, but it had been in the works since 2021, like mid 2021. So actually, no, I'm sorry.
Not too shocking, honestly. Producing something from scratch takes a long time.
Yeah, the thing is that like, so I actually went with a production company for this. So the lyrics aren't mine, the music isn't mine either. That time. Nowadays, I am trying to write my own lyrics and my own like melodies. But for my very first one, I went with someone else's creation. So that was done. I believe I contacted them first. Maybe it was like March of 2021, and then we were working together. And then I actually finished recording it in around November of 2021. But then like there was a lot of delays with like the music video and then getting it released on like Spotify. It actually delayed it for a long time.
Yeah, and if you're arranging for it to be released on different platforms and whatnot, and you have to go through the submission process, that's a whole other factor.
Yeah, so it's like a good and bad thing. Like I was happy to finally release it, but in my mind I was like, damn, like I recorded this over a year ago and I've clearly improved since then.
I was like, wait a minute, I want to go back and re-record it, but I know I can't do that because then we'd have to retime things.
Exactly. I was like, man, like I would have loved to like re-record it. And I actually do want to release like an updated version to it or like a remix version of it in the future. So we'll see. But other than that, I'm like really happy with it. Like, I am excited to like actually release more original songs with like my own like lyrics and my own kind of like melody and actually like, you know, working together with the producer instead of them just kind of like, here you go. and me going like, okay, here you go, like just back and forth like that. Yeah.
Yeah, to have a more robust collaborative process that
Yeah.
obviously, a lot of work still had to go into what was released. That, I do not mean to belittle
Yes.
the effort there.
No,
but
of
it's the
course,
type of
of
thing
course.
that I can very much understand the desire to want to have it be, that much more interactive, I suppose.
I agree. Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any, I suppose actually zooming back a bit for covers as a whole, do you find yourself tending toward any particular genre or style?
Yeah, so I actually really like rock. Like I grew up listening to like some rock I guess like groups and bands and stuff because of my dad. And I feel like my voice, since it's more on like the deeper, like I guess like not raspier side, but definitely made for more like rock type of songs. I definitely love like rock, J-rock, and just songs like that. But I've recently been trying to get into more like softer songs or like slower songs because I'm like, I really should, I guess like expand my genre of covers and music. So before I did a lot of like pop and rock, but now I am trying to do more slow songs. So we'll hopefully be releasing that actually pretty soon. I plan to release 2 more slow covers in December, which I think are like, they might be like my first kind of like slower songs and more like softer songs I've ever done. I think for the most part, like I haven't done that before.
Well, you've been doing some softer things vocally with ASMR lately, so that you have been, experimenting with the vocal range there. When did you end up first getting into ASMR? That's something that, I feel like nobody really grows up with ASMR. You have to wind up there somehow.
Yeah. Like I think like, it wasn't until VTubing that I've been told that people like my voice. I've always like hated my voice. Actually, ironically, just made a tweet about it too. Like I always felt.
I saw that earlier today, and I was literally thinking it was like, Hazumi, you have very good voice.
Thank you. I don't know why. Like I always just like in my mind, like I'm always like, oh man, like if I had like a higher, like cuter voice, like maybe people would like me more. Maybe I would like be able to do more things and things like that. And so like, it wasn't until VTubing that people have like told me that, and I still like don't like my voice, but I'm like, you know what, maybe I should just do something with it. And people have told me like, oh, you should try like ASMR stuff, like your voice is very comfy. And then my friend Ari started doing like ASMR scripts, and I was kind of like asking her about, I'm like, oh, like what do you use, like where do you find these scripts? And she like helped me a ton. Like she gave me like this Reddit where like she found all these scripts. I was like, oh my god, perfect. And so I started doing that, and I really like it so far. I'm just like talking and like adding sound effects and stuff, and I've actually like well, I guess this is kind of like a now that I think about it, now I think of a little fun fact, but I really wanted to be an actor, and if I actually didn't pursue VTubing, like if COVID like didn't really happen, I was actually starting to get into acting. So I thought it was perfect to kind of like be able to like do these type of scripts. And one day I wanted like voice act for something, and like I don't have a demo reel or anything, but I was like, oh, I mean,
well,
I think ASMR is
of a demo
yes,
reel
exactly.
I wouldn't go for don't make the entire demo reel ASMR because you want to be able to show range, but like, I'm sure that you could pick a good clip or 2 already, and have that be sort of the softer end, and then you can record whatever for the more energetic end. But I absolutely think that ASMR recordings, that's reel worthy.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely would think about it. But yeah, I did want to do acting before. So I think now I know I told you before, like, oh, I don't have any like fun facts or something. But now I realize there is one.
So, and now I'm curious, when it comes to acting inspirations or aspirations, that did you have interest in like stage, film, musical theater? Because obviously we see the interest in music, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you would be interested in musical theater.
Yeah, I actually do really like musical theater. I love musicals. I try to go to some like when there's like either shows near me or like shows are playing, or like very local shows, or like local like colleges like put on performances. I love going to those. I've never been in one personally. We did have a lot of like play production and like like theater in school, but I opted for like choir, and like those kind of went hand in hand, but like the production was weird. I'm like, I don't really want to be like in this with like these people, so I'm not gonna do that. But other than
goes when you're in school, I'm very familiar with that.
exactly. So unfortunately I didn't get a chance to do that, even though I would have loved to. And I don't really know where the passion for like acting kind of comes in. I've loved like, you know, like Disney Channel and all that growing up, but I was like, I want to be a Disney actor, I want to be on Disney Channel. Didn't happen, of course, but my dad had, I think my chat kind of knows this, but my dad had took me and my sister to this like audition thing, and it was for like people like an agency and an acting school that like Disney Channel stars went to. And so we both like auditioned for it, and then I got in and my sister didn't get in, but then my dad was like, oh, like it's like $4,000 for this school? No, yeah, fuck no, you're not going there. I was like, oh.
No, those places, things like that, it's usually, all right, they've had one or two people picked up.
Right,
and
right.
They will ride that fact to the end of time, and that they will charge folks absurd amounts on the promise.
Yes,
and,
yes,
you know,
exactly.
There are many, many very good and legitimate acting schools, and honestly, it doesn't mean that one was illegitimate, but it was probably overpriced.
yeah, and I know like my dad was definitely not into that, but like I guess just the fact that like they were like interested, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And so like I started doing like,
it's nice to feel validation, certainly.
Exactly. So it was really nice, and like from there I like tried to do more things like here and there, and I also, I don't know, I feel like not that I like play a character when I'm like VTubing or anything, but I just think it's like kind of fun. Like, I don't know, I always just thought that acting like just seemed really fun, or like just getting to be this person that you're not. Like, I don't know what it is, but yeah, that was what I was gonna do if I didn't like do VTubing. Like I was enrolled in like these acting like classes, like these online acting classes and online like acting schools, and I was doing like these like I guess these like I guess these demo reels, or like there was these like scripts that you could do, and like you can like, I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff, but yeah, that was definitely what I was gonna try to pursue if not for VTubing.
Also, thank you, Ali Kato and Cryogen Channel for the follows. Welcome on in.
Welcome.
I can definitely understand the appeal of acting. That was something that had occurred to me for a time, that I did acting throughout high school. Very, very casual stuff in college, nothing since. But I think that for a sort of all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares type of thing, that not all streamers necessarily had interests in acting, but I think that there's a lot that do. And I think that it's a very sort of logical progression of that. If you enjoy performance, if you enjoy being in front of an audience, that is going to lead to you having an interest in live streaming. Because obviously you're not standing up on a stage in a very literal sense, but in a figurative sense, you most certainly are, that you have the crowd to work off of, and that even if you are just portraying yourself, that the act of being entertaining in any aspect, regardless of if you are playing a character or playing yourself, that takes a certain amount of energy, and that I certainly feel ends up giving you a type of energy if that is something that appeals to you. That part of why I wound up making Vtuber Talk is that I enjoy live events in production and hosting and things like that, and I knew I didn't want to be a VTuber, but you know, I'm an extrovert, and it was during the pandemic where events, conventions, and the like were not happening, so I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I had fallen into the rabbit hole. And like I mentioned earlier, surprise, surprise, the talk show host is an extrovert and likes talking to people, and so I kind of took a bunch of different ideas and had seen some other talk shows, not VTuber ones, but other Twitch talk shows, and that's how VTuber Talk really came about, that I wanted to be able to have a little stage to perform on, and to be able to have somebody else to play off of it, not just being a solo act, so to speak.
Yeah, that's nice. Honestly, I can like sense like not the theater kid, but like I can tell that you were like kind of into that stuff, just like the way you like speak, it's very like, I don't know how to explain it, but it just is very like, you know.
I suppose I'm an animated person.
Yes, exactly. Definitely, I can sense that.
But it definitely makes sense that, like you said, that you would have an interest in acting, especially then finding your way into ASMR, where, like you said, it is literally script reading, and then you're being able to play a character while not necessarily having to commit to that for the entirety of your content, that you can choose the scripts for whatever mood you're feeling in that day or week, what have you, and that you can shift around, try out different roles, as it were.
Yeah, and that's what I really love about like the scripts that I see online, and then the scripts that I want to do. I'm like, wow, yeah, like you said, like I can just play a character for this like 7-minute script, and I just think it's really fun. I'm like, wow, I can really just like try to voice act or like attempt to voice act.
You don't need to do any auditions. You don't need to be worrying about other people, or having to do bunches and bunches of rehearsals. That obviously you'll probably do a couple of takes to make sure you get a good one to actually publish, but that you can have it be a day or a week project, not necessarily, all right, this is now going to be 4 months of my life.
Yes, exactly.
Are there any types of scripts that you found yourself initially gravitating towards, or perhaps even specific authors that you've been like, okay, I've done 2 or 3 of their scripts now, I like their work, I got to keep an eye on them?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's particular authors that I like gravitate towards, but I definitely like the more, it sounds embarrassing to say, but like the GFE ones, like I feel like because like my voice is quote unquote like calming or like comfy, I'm like, oh, okay, like I like leaning towards those a little bit more than like the ones that are like, I guess like that's like the more ASMR style as well, but I definitely lean towards those a little bit more, like the kind of like comfy sort of style ASMRs and like GFEs and like sleep aid, like things like that. Well, I think that's what I tend to lean more.
Well, I think that's very consistent of you, frankly, that your whole thing is that you are a Lion Knight who's going to protect someone, that you listen to the BGM that we have on right now, that this is your BGM that you provided for the show, not something that I picked, that the comfy just aesthetic as a whole is very much you, so it very much stands to reason. The logic is clear of how you wound up where you wound up with your script interests there.
Yeah, very true, and yeah, I feel like I am more of like a comfier person, which is a good and bad thing. I feel like people feel safe and welcome when they like watch my streams, but at the same time the con is that like I feel like I'm not like appealing to like big clippers or people that want to like post like this VTuber did what or something like that on like YouTube, just because it's, you know, very like comfy, chill. I'm not like chaotic or like screaming all the time, you know.
Mentioning actually just yesterday on one of your streams that you do a lot of your own clipping and editing in that regard, and that you feel that you sort of wound up having to do that because, like you said, yours isn't necessarily what would be stereotypically conventionally clipped. That you're not wrong when you say that what ends up sort of getting clicks, getting the just more generic audience interest, it's big shocking moments, it's somebody actually said a really embarrassing innuendo, or somebody raged really hard when they died, or that you get extreme reactions are usually what ends up being the most shareable or whatever. And that since, like you said, that you are just more generally speaking a calmer person, that unfortunately that does, like, it's not a huge disadvantage and your ability to grow as a content creator is totally shot, but I can completely sympathize and realize that I think that is unfortunately a very real thing that you point out, but I think it's good that you recognize that and that you say, one, I'm not going to bend over backwards and change my content and be something that I'm not for the sake of being clipped. But then you also are taking the initiative and saying, all right, fine, well, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like that's also kind of what made me lean into starting to do like ASMR stuff, because I'm like, well, like if I can't get clipped being like a chaotic little gremlin, then maybe I can, at least do something with this calm, comforting type of like I guess vibe. And so I think that's what also kind of like led me into it too, because I was like, well, like if I'm gonna try to make content that's kind of like more appealing, and that people want to listen to without needing to be clipped and put on the internet, like I think that that's probably going to be my best bet. So yeah, that was another big reason why. Yeah.
And like I was saying about you not changing yourself for the sake of all right, what is necessarily going to be the best for marketability, I think it's something very important. You mentioned you've been at this for almost 3 years, as have I actually.
Yes.
That it feels weird to say that when you've been at something for 3 years, that in this particular space, that means you've been around longer than most.
Yeah.
Just VTubing sphere, it feels like it's been here forever. We are still in the Wild West. Things are still brand spanking new. If you debut today as a new VTuber, you're still in on the ground floor, at the very least the first or second floor. We're in the early days. And that people come, people go. And that's not just true for the VTuber community, that's content creation, that's life. And that there's been what some people think to be an uptick in graduations, and I actually think it's not. I think it's sort of a phantom effect of just as time has gone on, that in the early days, there weren't that many people to graduate because there were still so many fewer people.
Very
and
true.
Now that there are more VTubers, that if you look at the raw percentage of, all right, what percentage of the VTuber community graduates or stops making content any given month or any given quarter, year, what have you, that obviously I have not done any actual statistical research to confirm this, but I'd be willing to bet that the proportion that you see in terms of turnover, for lack of a better term, is actually pretty consistent. And it's just that the absolute number is increasing because the absolute number of VTubers has increased so much. If anything, I almost feel like the proportion of graduations has gone down, even though the absolute number has gone up.
Yeah, I think it's also because a lot of the graduations that happen tend to be from, like, I guess people that have been around for a while. So it's people that you see, like all over Twitter, people that have been here from like the very beginning. Yeah. So I think that's also a reason why. I think it's because people are just taking notice to that, and that's kind of like the big, like the big news, like the big announcement. When I totally agree.
Naturally get shared, but yeah. So it goes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you though. Like I do feel like, with the increase, like it's not that it's bound to happen, but like I don't think that it's like a huge number, even though we kind of like make it seem to be. And it does, like when you have a lot of friends that are like graduating or leaving, like it does tend to seem like that, especially because like you mentioned, like when I was there from the very beginning, there was very few people, but now a lot of people are. And with a lot of those being my friends, it seems like there's a lot of people leaving, but like outweighing like how many people there are versus how many people leaving, it's really not that much.
But at the same time, part of sticking around is making sure that you're having a good time, and that I'm really happy that you seem to be having a very good time, and like I said, that you are not forcing yourself to change something just for the sake of growth, because just I feel like that very seldom ends well, and that I'm glad that you are continuing on and that you are experimenting with new things, that you aren't just, you aren't being unchanging, but that you are finding things that you enjoy, you're experimenting in ways that are comfortable for you, and that ultimately are consistent with your interests and your broader quote-unquote brand, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, like, I will say that I did technically, like, change, but it's mostly, like, to kind of fit myself more. So, like, with my old design, like, I just felt like it wasn't me. It was very, like, elegant, very princessy, idol-y style. And, like, while I love singing and I do love, like, idols, like, I used to want to be one, it's just, like, not me as a person. So like this whole redesign, it actually made me feel a lot better. And like it's funny because like a lot of my chat always says like, oh, I can tell like how happier you are now with this like new design.
That's fantastic. When it's not just you, but also just when chat can be like, all right, well, you already seem to be having a good time, But wait, now it's even more. That's
yeah,
like, I mentioned validation. That's the ultimate of validation,
for
right
sure.
there. That you clearly made the right choice for yourself in every way there.
Absolutely, yeah. So I definitely felt like a lot less happy when I was like in like the old model. Not to say that I didn't like the old model, like it's still like going to be like, you know, near and dear to my heart. But I think like the change was necessary, and it just definitely sparked my joy for VTubing again, because I was like dwindling down. I was like, I don't know how much longer I can take this. But like after like this like redesign debut, and like even if like I don't have like thousands of more like viewers or anything like that with this change, like I'm in a happy place because I feel a lot more like myself. So that's in itself is very fulfilling to me.
Yeah, no, that means that you won, that you did it right.
Yeah, for sure.
Was there anything that, like I said, I usually don't actually ask about design and model too much, but since we naturally found our way there, I guess what caused sort of the light bulb moment of I want a very drastic redesign, and how you landed here? Because obviously people get new models, people get upgrades, people get redesigns, but sometimes, and I would say frankly probably most of the time, designs seem to be more iterative on the previous ones versus a complete overhaul, which we have here. So and you mentioned that you felt that your interest in excitement was dwindling. Did you have that light bulb moment where it was just, I actually think the model might be it? That I think that you know, that in some ways, I feel like changing your model shouldn't be the first place you go when you feel your passion draining. But that it can still sometimes be the right choice, as it very clearly seems to have been here. So when was that for you of just, maybe this is it?
Yeah, so I think like, so when I first started VTubing, and I've kind of like told this story before, but when I first started, like there was never really a concrete like I guess like method to people like creating their designs, or like you know, like when I was first starting, like most people that were like VTubers that sang were idol VTubers. So because I wanted to be someone that sang, my first thought, and like me saying like I wanted to be an idol growing up, I was like, oh, maybe like now I should like do that because I can be whatever I want. So since I didn't have like really much direction to go in, that's kind of like the direction I chose. Default. Exactly. And the first design, I didn't have a problem with it. Like I felt like it was like tomboy enough like for me to get by. And then it was my second outfit, or like kind of like second design, where it was, like you said, it was kind of like similar to the first one, but like with a little bit of change or upgrade. And it was like a more mature version of the initial design. That's when I kind of started to realize, I was like, oh wait, you know, like this isn't me. And I went for a more elegant approach to the second design, because the first design was more like idol-y, kind of like military style, like band kind of style of like outfit or uniform. And then the second one was more like ballet, Princess of the Swan Lake kind of like design, which I loved, and I still love it because I also like had a hand in the design. But it wasn't until like after my first year that I was kind of like, this doesn't feel right, like something is off. And I think it took a little bit of time for me to realize like it was just like the design and the presentation of the model itself. So I actually had this like design, or this like I guess like this idea like in the works for probably, so I debuted this design in July, end of July, and at that point I had the design like kind of like the idea in mind for about like 15 months prior. So it had been a while, and I had this whole like Google Doc or like Google like sheet thing of like, this is what I want. Like I want it to have like a night theme. I want to be more like on the like more tomboy side, like armor, all that kind of stuff. And I actually went with a designer that ended up like kind of like butchering it at first. Yeah, I definitely like I don't want to say I got scammed, but I was definitely out of $800 for something that I was given a really like badly drawn sketch, kind of like that was done in like 2 hours from start to finish after I waited like 8 months for it, and I couldn't change anything unless I paid more. And I was just like, this sucks because I gave you this whole detailed document of what I wanted and nothing was given. Yeah, so I was like, wow, that's
when you hear horror stories like that.
Yes. But then I found another designer. My friend recommended me someone, and then me and them. So actually before that, my friend Ari had felt so bad because she heard about what happened, and she literally made this like 20-minute sketch, and it was already closer to what I wanted than the first person. I was like, are you kidding me? So then after that, me and my friend Zom, we kind of like added on to it. So we added on the pauldron that you see on my shoulder. We added like my gauntlet and like a few other things. And then I took it to a designer. And then we kind of like worked with it a little bit more. And then he added like special things, like most of like the bottom half of me, like all this, he kind of like added onto that. And then we kind of just made this. And I was like so happy with that. I was like, this is what I wanted. Originally, we actually wanted to go for a more, techwear style, which is why you see like belts on my, I guess like my stomach area, my abdomen area, and like more kind of like straps here and like all this kind of stuff, because I wanted it to be a more like techwear futuristic style. But I'm very happy with this. And I was happy because my model mama, when I sent her the design, I was like, oh, like if there's anything you think we should change, let me know. And she was like, no, like I love this. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, so
I feel like that was still have that. I hadn't thought about it until you said techwear.
Yeah.
But now looking at it, I see just there are these subtle things, like first off, the crown and the rotating halo behind.
Yeah.
Feels very techwear, because obviously that setup is not a natural set of shapes.
No.
And just the little blue gems that are inlaid throughout.
Yes, exactly.
The way that they have that not quite techwear, glowing microchip type of vibe that I had. At first glance, I was just sort of associating, okay, they're gems, regal, royalty, knights, and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it made perfect sense already. But as soon as you mentioned techwear, I was like, I feel like now that it's techwear inspired. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Like if I take off this cape also, like I have a lot of like just straps and like that kind of like vibe where like that's kind of like the least that I wanted. So I'm like really happy with it, because it's not it's not your typical like very regal or royalty kind of thing. Like there's like something else in there which I really liked, and so like I'm seriously so happy with this design. Like with my old design, I was like, oh, I can't wait to like get rid of it. Like I loved it, but I was like, I can't. But like with this one, I'm like, I can see myself with it for like as long as need be. Like I really like it. Yeah.
So you mentioned that Ari had done a concept sketch. I don't know much about Ari, admittedly. Does she do art and concept sketches at all by trade, or was this just her doodling on a whim?
Yeah, so she does art. I can send you her Twitter. But she's a really good artist. I love her art so much. But I don't know how often she does like design concepts. I think she does them like here and there. She literally
say that from what you're saying, if she doesn't already have commissions open for concept designs, maybe she should.
Yeah. I know the thing is that she literally did this like in between her commissions. So like I couldn't thank her enough, because I was like, you helped so much, because I was in like such a rut, because I was like, that's $800 I lost. That's a design. Like I have to push everything back. And like, admittedly, like I still did have to push everything back because that was like a huge part of it. But she really, really helped me. And yeah, so like she really just like doodled it up. Like she just looked at the Google document that I wanted or that I created, and she just made it. I was like, wow,
like, why didn't we do
amazing.
This to begin with?
Yes, exactly. And so, oh my gosh, yeah, could not thank her enough for this. And then yeah. So like, there was other things like the designer that I went with, like in the end, like I think that he was the one who kind of like went with this crown, and I was the one who was like, well, I want it to like rotate a little bit. So we made the I guess the blue, light blue gems in the background kind of like rotate and things like that. So it was really cool to work with like a bunch of different artists and just create this over time, because similar to like I guess like my original songs, like I love the fact that I can like collaborate with people, and like me like also having like experience with art, like I really like just putting my like 2 cents in, you know. So I had a really good time creating this, and like in the end, like what was kind of like a disaster turned out to be like my favorite thing ever.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
So Oddity of the Abyss, thank you for the follow. Obviously, I'm not a VTuber, and part of that comes from the fact that I have never had any concept for a model. That just, I have thought on occasion, okay, if I were to become a VTuber, what would I look like? And the only real thing I know is that I would be generally humanoid, that
okay.
But I just draw a blank, that I am very creative in certain specific things. When it comes to that type of design, I've just got nothing.
Yeah.
And that even there have been very few things that I've actually commissioned. That VTuber Talk is very much a production of cardboard and duct tape. This overlay that you see, I've used essentially this overlay with the slightest of tweaks for what is now 130 episodes.
Oh my goodness.
That this is a bunch of free assets and just, you know, a couple of text things, and that's also part of why I landed on a talk show, because I knew that I could get away with, frankly, a really minimalistic overlay setup, because as long as the talking is good, that's what matters, and that I make sure I have a space for the guest, a space for the chat, and that's really all I need, and make sure it doesn't look like glaringly bad.
Yeah.
And that I'm going to make you disappear for just a half second, just so folks can see what the background is. That, of course, I have to go with the obligatory city skyline background for any good talk show. Whenever a guest doesn't have a overlay and a scene of their own, that you know, that's just what all talk shows have. But that's really all I did, and that it wasn't until my first anniversary that I got the logo that you have at the top. And
oh my goodness,
the credits for that that was done by EROS, who has done a lot of really fantastic logos. And I went to her and was just like, she usually does this for VTubers, and VTubers will have their models to cue off of for their logo designs. I've got nothing. So I just say,
that's fair.
It's a talk show. My broad sweeping vibe is professional and, you know, generally speaking, clean cut. I don't really know. I'm looking at, you know, sort of blue, gray, black color family type of thing.
Yeah.
I said, I trust you, I like your style, and all the other logos seem to fit the people that you've done. Can you try something? And she did, and this was the first thing she did, and I was like, that's it. Like, that's it.
That's
I
the
love
one.
it. I didn't know that I wanted it, but like the little speech bubble with the play button, I was like, that's so good. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's very clean and logical, and it was like, yep, that's great. And for the intro, for it's not going to appear if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, but that I have at the top of the show a little intro theme that was done by ARKHAND.
I saw that, yeah.
Like, all right, I want something that is similar to talk shows, and there's this one particular one that I really like, kind of in that style, and came back with something, and it was halfway there, and was like, okay, let's change this saxophone to a lower sounding sax, make it a little bit punchier, and chop out the slow beginning, and then the second draft with that, that was already 75% of the way there was done. That I think that's when you know you have a really good artist or someone who's being commissioned, of just that they can intuitively figure out what you can.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt with a lot of my commissions that I did. Cause like you said, I had to overhaul everything, but I totally get that.
I'm so glad that you were able to find this new design and rediscover your joy and passion for VTubing as a whole, because certainly that I cannot say that I've been necessarily a regular viewer of yours for a long time, but I've popped in on streams here and there, even prior to asking you, that I never ask people to be on Vtuber Talk if I am not at least sort of baseline familiar with their content.
Yeah.
But I will admit, I feel like I saw you a bit more after the new design, but I'd seen that other design around, but I don't know what it was, and I almost wonder if, like, seeing you with the new one, that just maybe there was something different about your energy that just sort of clicked and made me say, all right, I need to actually get off my butt and invite Hazumi to be on the show.
I appreciate it. I also do think that, like, this design is more, I guess, unique and, like, eye-catching in a way that the other one kind of, like, not that it failed to do that, but I definitely think that this one is just like, oh, that's different.
Yeah, there are certainly fewer knights than idols, I will say that.
Yes, I agree.
But all the more reason why it's great that you wound up finding what you clearly like more. That I just hope that folks who start one thing that aren't idols because they don't want to be the obvious and don't feel too scared to become idols because that's what they actually do want to be.
Yes.
Just
Oh my gosh, no. I do hope that I am sure that people that, like, want to do that and, like, have that as, like, an inspiration, like, do that. And so I think that's great. I just ended up with the wrong thing, or the thing that, wasn't for me.
Yeah. And along with that, we also have that you're currently running a pre-order for, and I love the name, Hazumi Lion Guard plushie.
Yeah, Hazuminis is my fan name, actually. So I call them my Hazuminis.
And that this is currently available for pre-order, somewhat surprisingly, from Vite Ramen.
Yes.
And that they're known pretty well throughout the community for having done a whole bunch of collaborations with other folks, and this isn't their first foray outside of food. That they have done one of their higher profile non-food items was they did this, like, professional grade chef's knife for onigiri, and that one of the cool things that they show sort of in the demo video is that it can, like, cut through paper just super easy, like butter that's not even there. And I was kind of surprised to see that they were sort of venturing into the plushie space, because that's something that I know a lot of people are really interested in, of just that people want to be able to have a plushie themselves or their mascot, and that it's something popular for fans as well. But plushies are difficult to make.
Yes,
It's only recently that we've gotten a couple of more accessible plushie manufacturers. That there's Makeship, which I think is sort of the most known plushie specialist right now. But past that, especially in the earlier days that you and I know from past, like up until really this calendar year, like 2020 to 2022, if you were able to get your hands on a plushie manufacturer, it meant that you had done legwork. Significant legwork to find a producer, to find someone who could do it, because while we have many talented artists and that there's plenty of places you can get a standee manufactured or prints manufactured, getting a plushie made is so much more difficult.
It is. It's a lot of work.
To have it be viable now, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really fun. And, like, I've actually had this mascot. Like, I've actually had a mascot longer than a lot of other people have had mascots, and I just never kind of, like, did anything with him. And then, Vite Ramen was like, oh, like, let's do something, like, with it. And I was like, okay. And so this is actually, like, a redesign of my mascot, to fit this theme.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy.
Could not have been the mascot for previous iteration.
Yes. So I'm really happy with it. And yeah, I was, like, so happy that they, like, offered to do something like this, because I was like, wow, like, I've always wanted a plushie, and I actually have him, like, in the corner of my room, and, like, I love it so much. It's so cute. So I can't wait for everyone to get it, like, get their hands on it.
Yes, and I've just put a link to Vite Ramen's site in the page where you can do pre-order for that, and they have it from a bunch of different angles, actually, and all the measurements. plushies, like I said, are already complex, and they went all out here because
yes,
you have the different type of fur for the mane, you have the little cape, the belt, and all this that, plus the tail, that having a tail added to a plushie, it seems like such a simple thing, but just manufacturing-wise, that's a very big leap of an extra step.
I totally agree. And like, I was shocked that they were able to do everything. Like, I was like, damn. Like, and even, I don't know if you can really see it in that photo, but like the plushie actually has like blue highlights in the hair because like the mascot does just kind of like mimic like my blue highlights. And so the fact that they were able to do that as well, I'm like, wow. Like, so it's pretty crazy.
They have that up in the one of the other images, so just
okay.
Sex studio mode activate. I get that one in there because I did find another one where the highlights are much more pronounced, and like you said, that does fit with what you have in the model. That yours are not only highlights but also just sort of the under highlighting.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know off the top of my head what the proper term for that is. I feel like I should.
Yeah. I think people call it like a peekaboo hair dye, where it's just kind of like the under. That was actually the one like thing that I said I needed to have in this model was the hair color and the blue added to it. Like that was my one like must-have request. So I'm really glad to like get that happening.
And that's interesting that of all the things that you were very adamant about, that it was the blue hair.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It was the combo actually, the light ashy brown with the blue. I saw like a Pinterest photo with like a random anime drawing of it, and I was like, I love that. Like I need this. And so I was like,
just sometimes you see things like that. That's the thing I've been looking for.
Exactly. I was like, this is the hair color I want. I don't care about anything else. Like I want this hair color. We actually have the measurements that the Hazumi Lion Guard plushie is 1 foot tall, 30 centimeters. Yes.
They have all the other little measurements on the site, and that the pre-order is $40, which is really reasonable actually. That I feel like $30 to $40 ends up being about where you want to end up paying for something custom, and especially when it's, like we said, all the little bells and whistles really in the design.
Exactly.
I think that the fact that they're able to actually have it be at that price is really good, and that I'm excited to see when all that comes out. And
me too.
Then if Vite Ramen is going to sneakily become a major plushie manufacturer too, that all right, well they've got ramen on lock and are experimenting with all this other stuff as well. So who knows, that maybe we'll end up with like Vite plushies, and it's just going to be, you start with the brand name and then it becomes a million other things, and we'll have the Vite conglomerate empire.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
And you also actually had a ramen packet design with them, and the packet does have your old VTuber model.
It does, yeah.
But it is garlic pork tonkatsu. I'm guessing that was by request?
Yeah, so that's a flavor that they already have, but I just requested to have it on that flavor because that's my favorite flavor. But I actually do have something coming out with them, an actual like flavor coming out with them. Yes, I'm very excited for it. Hopefully that'll happen within the next few months, and maybe even for my like 3-year anniversary. I think that'd be really cool to have. But I'm really excited for it because it's something that we've been like testing, and it's something that like we talked about. I'm like, I think it'd be really cool to do this, which is something that they've never really done before. So I'm not gonna say too much, but I'm very excited, and it honestly tastes really good. Like I'm like,
so
wow.
You've been sent samples.
Yes, we've been going back and forth, and I think we finally created like the good, like just like the good enough not good enough, but like the perfect like sample. Because like it was really nice because like we were going back and forth, and they gave me some like samples like at Offkai as well, and I was just kind of like sending notes back. I'm like, oh, this has a little bit too much like of this flavor, or this too much of this herb. Can we kind of like cut back on it? And so we were just going back and forth, and finally I was like, okay, this plus this much water, like that is like amazing. So it was really cool to be able to, again, like collaborate like really like intensively with a company. So I'm like, it's so exciting. It's really exciting to me.
If you had
and I'm
to
so
guess,
excited.
how many iterations did you taste test?
I want to say maybe like 5 or 6, so not too many.
Yeah, but you know that's going through a lot of different changes.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah. And I mean, right when they first started with the flavors and they sent it to me, I'm like, this is already amazing. Like, this is really good. So it was just a few tweaks here and there, like adding a certain bit of more flavor or taking out a little bit of like a certain herb. I think it was just mostly that, like just kind of like nitpicking at certain things.
That it's similar to what I was saying about commissioning art, that
yes,
when you have someone good that their first draft is already over halfway there, and then it's just the detail work of, all right, let's go back and forth, and since we know that we don't need to scrap everything and redesign from the ground up, that we can actually take the time looking at these finer details.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel about it. I was like, wow, this was already really bomb.
We'll definitely have to keep an eye out for that.
Yes, so excited for it.
Dang it, now I'm hungry. This is a terrible idea. What have I done?
I know, honestly, same. I was like, oh man, I'm pretty hungry now.
So you mentioned that one of the games that you play a lot is Valorant, and you were actually playing, I forget if it was Valorant yesterday and Final Fantasy XIV the day before, or if I flip-flopped those.
Yes, no, that's exactly it.
So I don't know jack about shooters. I just never have, and there's a lot of different battle royale shooters that, you know, obviously there's Fortnite, there's Valorant, there's Apex. What about Valorant clicked for you that didn't for other games?
Yeah, so Valorant is actually my first FPS game that I've ever played. So I've never had like experience with like CS:GO or like PUBG, or I had like a little tiny experience with like Modern Warfare, but it was just like me and my best friend like shooting the shit, like it was just
literally shooting the shit.
Yeah, literally. But I think like I started playing Valorant in its beta. It was at the very tail end of the beta. Like I think there was only like 3 days left. And my old roommates were like, hey, like let's try this game out. And I was like, I've never played a shooter before. And they're like, it's okay, it's on your PC. I was like, okay. And I sucked. I was so bad because I've never played a shooter game before. But I think like I love like anything with kind of like a small bit of like a fantasy element to it. So the fact that there was like abilities plus like shooting, like I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like it's not just like shooting and like not just like a war type of kind of like game, which I think that's the thing that like strayed away or made me stray away from like some games. I'm like, I don't want to just play it for like war, you know? So I was like,
in that, you know, you aren't just a knight, you are a lion knight, and that even going farther back to your other models, that you always had sort of this element of fantasy about it. And once again, that you are very consistent in that way in the different things that appeal to you.
I agree, yeah. And I think that's what really like piqued my interest. And then after the beta, like there was a period of time where like I didn't play probably for almost the rest of the year, because I caught COVID really bad when it first like started.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's okay though. I mean, I'm better now, but yeah, so I didn't play for a while, but then I don't know why, like I just really like got interested in the game, and like I am much better than I was before. Like I was never iron, which is the lowest rank, but I was the one rank above that, which is bronze, and then I've peaked to diamond, which is from bronze to diamond, it's
most is bronze, silver, gold.
Yes, bronze. No, it's bronze, silver, diamond? Gold. Yes, exactly. Bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond. So the fact that I went 5 ranks up, I was like, okay,
that's a lot.
I'm pretty proud of myself. Yeah, within about like 2 years of playing. So I'm like, for my first FPS.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I'm like, I'm pretty proud of myself, you know.
And you've taken the leap that I never have. That I didn't really grow up playing shooters, and that I've always sort of felt that there's this big barrier to entry because there's this huge learning curve, and that there's so many people now that have played those types of games for years and years and years, and that I've always worried that it's difficult to get into those types of games if you're not already good and you're not taking a lot of hours to practice in, you know, campaign modes and whatnot. So especially for a game that is all online play. That at least to my knowledge, Valorant doesn't have a campaign mode or single player.
No.
That feels particularly intimidating. But you just jumped right in to see the fact that you've actually been able to improve and still have a good time. That actually speaks volumes, at the very least, to their matchmaking and design. But also it makes me think, oh no, now do I need to actually try a shooter game? Because I've been telling myself that I don't have time, and that I can justify that I don't need to get into shooters because I want to get them. But now you're just proving me wrong, Hazumi. What am I gonna do?
I'm so sorry. Honestly, it does depend, because I think a little bit, and I think my mentality with it changed, because in the very beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really enjoy it because of the people that I was playing with. The people I was playing with weren't very nice and weren't very helpful.
Well, that's gonna ruin any game. It doesn't matter how good.
Exactly. And so kind of my mentality was I'm gonna prove you wrong and I'm gonna get better. So that was my first mentality.
Very powerful motivator.
Yes. And then I act on spite a lot. But then it kind of transformed into getting having new friends, and now these friends in the VTuber community, I love playing with so many different people, and the fact that I can collaborate with them, I think it kind of shaped my love for it, to go from spite to actually enjoying the game and enjoying the people I play with. And I'm not gonna lie, the game is frustrating sometimes. The past few competitive seasons have been not very forgiving at all. The matchmaking was horrible, and there'd be a lot of smurfs on the enemy team. But this season particularly has been pretty good so far to me and my friends. I'm okay, maybe Riot finally did something good. So I think if it weren't for my friends, I probably would have stopped a long time ago. And the fact that I don't have a lot of time. But nowadays, I am really trying to get back into it and trying to stream it. So hopefully I can get back up to Diamond at least.
Mm-hmm. So when does the next season for Valorant start? I know the concept of seasons in games, and even if I'm not, actively following things, that all the stuff you said about, different matchmaking and balancing, that I understand the design aspect of that all. So when is the next season going to start?
It actually just started. So I think it started last week, and then they last about I want to say around 60-ish days. So it's about 2 months each. And then, so this next season, once the season ends, your rank kind of really resets. It's called a hard reset. So it kind of goes back down
everybody
a lot.
Goes down, And that's a very standard ladder system that a lot of games use, whether it's shooters or even puzzle games that
for sure
have aspects to do that. Or everybody gets knocked down and then you have to work your way back up.
Yeah, it is a little frustrating, but yeah, for sure.
Big rebalances this time around?
I would say there's a lot of rebalances within the competitive matchmaking aspect of it, at least to my knowledge. So before, what used to happen was that if you were to 5-stack, for example, so have 5 players on a team and queue into that game, you could have any rank. So a literal bronze player could be with an immortal player, which is the second highest rank. So having that would then balance the team out so that you would be playing with golds and bronzes. So they would be exploiting it
numerically.
Yes, but it would be
things out.
But it was a huge exploit. So where people were basically just getting boosted, and it was so frustrating and very annoying. I'm wow, how can we do anything?
Also, that's probably not good for the. Imagine you have a genuine bronze player. Imagine I sign up and that I'm in, and I get hard carried by this immortal player, and I suddenly get boosted up, and I'm suddenly in silver.
Yeah,
that's bad for me, because as soon as I'm no longer paired with that immortal player, I'm just going to get crushed, and then I'm going to have a bad time because I'm overranked.
Yeah, exactly. But nowadays, this season in particular, they changed it so that immortals have to play with people that are at least 2 ranks below. If you're in a 5-stack, it can only play with 2 ranks below. So that's good. So I think it's Immortal, Radiant, and Ascended. So the top 3 ranks are only allowed to play with people 2 ranks below them. So you can't do that Immortal Bronze anymore. It would have to be Immortal and Diamond, for example, which is good, and it creates a much fair balance than previously. So I definitely think that they worked out the system a lot, and I'm seeing a lot more fair games. Of course, if you lose a game and it's like 12, 13 or like 11, 13. Understandable, you know, it was a tough game and just one team just outperformed the other.
And that's going to be fun, good gameplay.
Exactly.
There are games where, all right, you lost and no, you never want to lose, but it's like, oh, that was a really good one. Let's go again.
Exactly. Yeah, but then you have those, like some games from the last few seasons where it would be like 2 and 13. Yeah, I'm like, how is this fair? You know, yeah. So and when it's like that,
that you're not going to be as likely to want to go another round when you have something totally demoralizing.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if you're on the winning end, at a certain point, it does become boring.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I'm like, no one wants to just have like easy wins at that point. Like, how are you going to get better at the game?
Yeah,
so,
like,
yeah.
You know, if you get one easy win in a night, maybe even 2, it's like, okay, cool, like we had a really, really good round. But if it's just game in, game out, that you are just repeatedly crushing players, then just you know, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the concept of flow state, but that you need to have a certain amount of challenge to remain engaged.
Very true. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad that like this season is kind of providing that at least.
Yeah. Now, well, I don't know much about Valorant, but now I'm terrified that I might actually need to try it out, and oh no. That I do know you and I both love Pokemon, and
yes,
from the best I can tell, that we both grew up with it.
Yeah.
Ned, do you recall? Well, actually, no. I'm gonna shift to that question. What's your favorite starter?
Ooh, I have a few. I'm definitely more of a fire type starter trainer than anything. So I think like Cyndaquil and Torchic would have to be my favorites. Yeah.
Okay, because for a very long time I was a water starter, in that I think gens like 2 through 6 or 7. I was basically always a water starter. That
interesting.
Mudkip's one of my all-time favorites.
Oh.
Just cute, adorable little guy, and I will always remember when I went to Watson's gym after getting my Marshtomp, not aware that it had gotten a secondary type, and being like, okay, I'll throw out Marshtomp first, and I expect to lose it, but whatever. It does have Mud Slap, so it can at least get 1 or 2 good hits in, and then opposing Pokemon uses Thundershock. It doesn't affect Marshtomp. Wait, what?
Yep.
Because until then, I don't know if starter had ever gotten a secondary typing prior to its 3rd stage, so I hadn't even bothered to check. And it was just like, wait a minute, this changes everything. And then I just, all right, I have the easy win for that gym. But I moved to fire starters in Gen, would have been 8, because I liked Score Bunny's design a lot. In
yes. I do like Score Bunny's design. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a fire type trainer, so that makes sense. But yeah, I think the one there was a few gens that I didn't choose a fire starter. Like I love Piplup. Piplup is definitely my favorite. I did have Chimchar and Infernape at a point, like when I restarted the game, but I don't know. My first choice was Piplup. So that was interesting. That was my first time choosing a water Pokemon, actually.
I do remember I went with Piplup in that gen too. Half because I like water, but also that I like it got the steel type when it came in forward, and that I've always loved steel type, of just all the resistances it has, and that the designs. I really like the aesthetic generally. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think like the next different type I chose was Oshawott after that. I think it remained fire until Oshawott. So I think that was like my next favorite one. So I'm like, damn, I'm changing a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, I would say fire types are definitely my favorite, my go-to. Do you have a favorite generation, whether it be just because of the region or the Pokemon, or that the gameplay and design itself really appealed to you? I would say Gen 3 for sure. Like I think Sapphire, Ruby, Emerald was my favorite like games. I don't know why, to be honest. Wait, that is Gen 3, right? Yeah. I had to make sure. But yeah, I don't know why. Like I love those games, and like I loved Sapphire and Ruby because my sister had Ruby and I had Sapphire. And then when Emerald came out, I was like, oh hell yeah. I love that too. So I don't know. I just really like Gen 3 the most. I love the Hoenn region, and those are like, I think it was just cool because I was like, wow, new Pokemon. And I think that was the region that I really like
grew up with as well. Because like of course I did like play the previous games before that too, but I think that was the game that I really played when I was more like coherent as a kid.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Gen 3 actually occupies a really interesting space for me because I was in the target demographic for Gen 1. I was right place at right time.
Okay.
Target for Pokemania. So, I watched Gen 1 the anime. The first game I ever owned was Yellow version.
Oh, wow.
I got that for my birthday, and it was the first video game that I ever owned.
That's awesome.
That and yellow Game Boy Color for my birthday.
Wow.
And I played through that, loved it, and then just by the time Silver came out, I think Silver is the game that I put the most hours into. I played that one to the ground, even after beating it and just exploring the 2 regions and just enjoying the music. I think the music in Gen 2 hits that perfect mix of it's still that good early chippy sound, but then it has so much more depth than Gen 1. And don't get me wrong, I love Gen 1's music, but that Gen 2 has so much more layering to it. And for whatever reason, I missed the announcement about Ruby and Sapphire. And that I knew that the new series the new anime had started, and I sort of fell out of the anime around that.
Gotcha.
And it was when Emerald came out that I was looking to get a new game for my Game Boy Advance because I had just beaten whatever game I'd been playing prior. And I saw that and was like, well, I loved Silver so much, and I sort of missed the boat on Ruby and Sapphire, so I guess I'll get Emerald. And
okay.
Getting Emerald locked me in as a Pokemon fan.
Yes, Emerald is so good.
It sort of reconfirmed everything of no, this one isn't a passing fancy. I just really like these games.
It's funny because Emerald, that's one of the only games I've actually been able to play like over and over again. And then when like Alpha Sapphire came out, I was like, oh my god, it's so Jover. Like I love that game. Like that was same thing with you playing Silver, like, and going past it. That was me with Alpha Sapphire. And like when all like the mythic Pokemon and like all like GameStop was releasing all like the mythic and legendary Pokemon, I was like, oh my god, like I'm collecting them all. Like it was amazing. So I was so happy they made a remake to that. So
and that I've gotten, I think, every other that since Gen 4. So after getting Emerald and sort of halfway through that life cycle, that I'm pretty sure I've gotten every Pokemon game like within a week of its release since. I'm not the type that's gonna ever really complete the whole Pokedex. I'm not gonna go out doing full EV training and shiny breeding and all that, but I just love those games.
Same. I think I have the same type of like interest as you, where like I will literally like, I've camped out before for like GameStop releases. I've like pre-ordered for day of releases. I totally get it. But and then I'm not the type of person to like do the EV training and stuff like that. Like I don't play competitively or anything. Like I just like it.
I love watching competitive though, that I think that I certainly play enough that I can tune into Worlds and understand everything that's going on, even if I don't know, all right, what's the meta, that I know all the moves, I know the abilities, and that I can follow along with commentary and be like, oh, okay, so that's what just ends up being stupid powerful if you min-max it there. That's neat.
Yeah,
I have no interest in doing that myself, but it's cool watching the people that put in that time and effort and know how to get that far.
Exactly. That's literally me. And then on the topic, I know you mentioned like music from like Silver, but actually Gen 4, like Diamond and Pearl has my favorite soundtracks. Like I love like the three mythicals, like the lake themes are like my favorite. Like I don't know what it is like about Diamond and Pearl, but I think that has like my favorite soundtrack out of all the Pokemon games.
It's really good, and that has one of my favorite, while it's probably not my favorite top to bottom soundtrack, it has one of, in my opinion, the best tracks across Pokemon, and that is the Old Chateau theme. Like the creepy horror theme.
Yes.
There's a couple places that it's used. I always more so associate with the Old Chateau, but just that it's this very da, 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 and they have this timpani hit, which is so good. And just the music nerd in me loves that particular one. But
it's great.
There's no weak entry in Pokemon as far as the soundtracks go.
Oh, for sure. I think like any Pokemon soundtrack is like amazing, but I don't know what it is about like Gen 4 that really appeals to me.
Did you play Legends Arceus?
I did. I actually don't think I finished it. It's funny because I'm really bad at finishing games on stream, so I am gonna try to actually finish it like off stream. I think it'd be kind of weird if I play it again, like, hey, it's been 2 years,
or at least like get to sort of where you were, maybe get to the end game and then play through the end game on stream or something.
Yes,
but,
yeah.
Mentioning that you like Gen 4 so much, and especially the soundtrack, that obviously it's Gen 4 inspired, and that you get these updated versions of a lot of that music in that game.
Yes. I do need to play through that, and I actually didn't play through the updated like Diamond and Pearl either, because I was like, I just missed the old version.
Like there was much added.
Yeah,
they added a lot in Heart Gold, Soul Silver. They added a lot.
Yes.
In, Alpha Ruby, Omega Sapphire.
Oh my God. Yes.
But
that is what
Shining Diamond and whatever it was, Pearl.
Yeah, whatever.
Was really just a vanilla re-release with a chibi aesthetic.
Yeah, and it disappoints me a little bit because I was like, you guys like cooked with Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby. Like that's what it should have been.
The platinum content was right there.
Yeah. Exactly. So I was pretty disappointed with that, and I think that's why I kind of dropped it, because I was like, this is just, I could just play Diamond in an emulator again.
I didn't pick those up at all. That I saw that there wasn't anything new. If they had done a more comprehensive update like the other ones, I might have done it. And like I said, bought Sword and Shield, bought Scarlet Violet right on release, but I saw that I was just like, I played that game, and I'm glad it got released for the folks that are younger now and that didn't grow up getting to play it. That I think it's very good, and obviously those games are fantastic.
And I think that was the target for sure.
I just didn't feel the need to replay them.
I agree. Yeah, I think, not that I regret getting it, but I think like learning like, oh wait, this isn't like really for me. Like this is definitely, like you mentioned, like for the kids that didn't get to play it before, because who has a DS? I mean, I guess I do technically, but like kids these days like don't have DS.
Well, that's because we already had them. That we wouldn't have to track down a DS.
Exactly.
Which is going to be a bit more challenging. But I think that's one of the things that Pokemon has done particularly well, though, and why it has stood the test of time and become the highest-grossing multimedia franchise in history of that.
Yeah.
They have done a very good job of keeping things universal. That they have some stuff that are for the competitive players, the die-hard fans, the fact that there's a lot of mechanics that they've made easier for the competitive folks, like there's special items now for EV training and changing natures, and that makes the competitive scene a lot less just grindy than it used to be.
I agree.
But at the same time, that they keep the games incredibly accessible, and that the themes overall, yes, these are still designed for ages 7 to 13. Clearly, that would I like a deep narrative Pokemon game? Yes. Do I expect them to make one? Do I think they should make one? Probably not, unless it's a spin-off. That is, the mainline series needs to stay accessible. So, we're at the point now where folks who grew up with Pokemon are, introducing their kids to Pokemon. That you get these cute little videos
I know.
Like, all right, baby's born and they are given their starter choice, and where does the baby crawl to? And it's like, that's so great. Like, being able to
it's heartwarming.
And that, that
I love it.
Can replay those games with their kids, or it's really nice.
It is. I will say that I feel like, I mean, though I haven't played the full thing, but I feel like the Legends Arceus is probably the most kind of like more mature version of Pokemon that I've noticed.
I'd say it's probably the farthest they've gone.
Yes, I agree. And it's nice. It's nice. I definitely need to finish it. I've been like kicking myself. Like I think about it from time to time, like I really need to finish that game. And I just like stop thinking about it. But you have inspired me.
It's very good. The end game stuff is really cool. It is the only time that I've ever completed the Pokedex because I wanted to fight Arceus.
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm not gonna grind for hours on end just so I can get that little printout certificate. The certificate does not compel me in any way. a fight with Arceus, yes, I will.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
Anything,
that's
I'm
the
glad
only.
that they don't give you something that grandiose to reward
Yeah.
from doing the Pokedex because
Exactly.
it is very reasonable in Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
That you will have to grind an amount, but it's not the same as what you have to do in the mainline games.
Exactly. And I think that's the only game that I've also like tried grinding, like, oh, if I see like a Pokemon I don't have, I'll grab that thing. Or like that's the only time I've been like actively like shiny hunting. I'm like, I need to do this. Like let me add them, you know? I actually wait, maybe I did complete. Oh no, never mind. That is not the right one. I was thinking of Scarlet and Violet. Yeah. So I did complete that one, but the Legends Arceus, I haven't done that one yet. Yeah, you know what? You've inspired me. I will do that on my own time.
Definitely have fun with that.
Yeah, I will.
It was cool to see them just really break the mold in a lot of ways, and that they knew that was the best place to do it. They just completely overhauled the battle system, and I think it would have been a terrible idea to do that in a mainline game. I love that they did it here. Is it perfect? Do I think it's better than the normal one? No, but it was fun, interesting, and I like for the designers, for the dev team, that they were allowed to explore that space in a low-pressure environment.
That's very true. It's... Okay, I need to finish it. I really need to finish it. We keep talking about I need to finish it.
Let me know when you do, because there's some stuff in the end game that I will just say, if you've encountered spoilers already, oh well, but don't look up too much.
I won't. I actually, surprisingly, I have not seen spoilers. It's weird because like I usually never see Pokemon spoilers, and it helps me.
Maybe that's a symptom of it not having the super deep story, that people aren't like going crazy, being like, oh my gosh, we got to share this spoiler on Twitter.
That's true.
Good.
Yeah.
Let me know when you finish it, because
I will.
There's stuff. There's plenty to look forward to.
I definitely will.
If you could be in charge of a new Legends game, what region would you want it to be in? What region would you want to see go back to the past and explore the way that you do in Arceus?
I think I would have to say a Hoenn region for sure. I think
I should have anticipated that.
Yeah. I think just because it has such a special place in my heart still. And I just think that it'd be really cool. I honestly wish they went with the Hoenn region instead of, like Diamond and Pearl. Like with that, I don't know why. Like I can see that region going in the past more than I can with Diamond and Pearl. I don't know what it is, but that was my opinion. Like in my mind, even when the game first came out, I was like, I'm curious why they went with that in particular.
I think it's mostly because flavorfully the legendary Pokemon there can sort of justify time travel easier.
Yes, that does make sense for sure. Like time, space, and then
I'm sure
the god.
They can make up something to justify time travel if they go back to Hoenn, but it was thematically a bit more of a layup, I'd have to imagine, with Sinnoh.
Yes, I definitely agree. That does make a lot of sense. But yeah, I think but Pokemon design wise, I just think the region itself, I definitely think that.
Just let's see the old war between Kyogre and Groudon.
Exactly.
All right, space-time continuum, that the player is the one that resolved the war previously and got Rayquaza involved and prevented the destruction, and that the creation of the orbs and whatnot, and that you go back in the past and set the stage for Ruby and Sapphire, and that it's sort of timeline self-fulfillment there.
Yeah, I think that would have been amazing. But it does make sense, that the past and stuff, like the time space thing, it makes sense. Yeah, but what you've just said, I think that'd be an amazing game.
There's so much potential, and that I would I can't decide if I want Gen 1 or 2 more. I feel like both are layups because Celebi is a time travel Pokemon. Baked in.
That's true.
Legend Celebi and old Johto. And I just, obviously so much about Johto is historical of that Ekrutik would obviously be your village town in that game.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfect because I feel like you could just do old Japan and that type of samurai and all that kind of stuff.
And then you do Legends Mew in Kanto. Mew can do all sorts of stuff. You can justify hand wave. Mew can do time travel. I'm sure nobody would blink at that and be able to see old Kanto and just
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So I hope I feel like they have to, because the sales for Legends Arceus were really, really good.
Oh, were they? Oh.
Yeah, that it, from what I understand, it overperformed and that it sold very, very well. So, fingers crossed. But then again, Pokemon has jumped around a lot over the years with their spin-offs.
Yeah.
They've had, the Mystery Dungeon series, amazing. Probably the next best in terms of like mature storyline in Pokemon. It's neck and neck between Legends and Mystery Dungeon.
I agree. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I didn't even think about that as the more kind of mature game. I definitely think it delves way deeper into a deeper story than any other Pokemon game for sure. And I think even more so than the Legends Arceus. I don't know. I just love Mystery Dungeon. I want them to make a new one so bad.
And the fact that they haven't, that they've hopped around to so many different things, and I do like that they have jumped around. That we've gotten Snap, and we've gotten there was I didn't play Conquest, but cool, they tried Tactics. That's neat.
Yeah, I didn't play that one either, actually.
But that they are not very beholden to any particular spin-off, and that's
true.
The danger of you never know what they'll try, and they could try and find something amazing that you never knew that you wanted. But there's also, they might create something amazing and then just not bother it again.
Yeah, because to my knowledge, they don't have a Mystery Dungeon for the Switch, right? I think they stopped at the DS still. I feel like they stopped at the 3DS, but I don't remember. I'm pretty sure they don't have one.
I'm just searching it up right now, actually.
Yeah. I'm almost positive they didn't do anything for the Switch and stopped at the 3DS.
They ported Rescue Team to the Switch. That it wasn't a new one, from what I can tell. That I think it was just the original. Yeah, it was the original Red Blue.
Oh wait, I didn't know that.
But they ported it to the Switch. Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that they ported it to the Switch. That's good to know, actually. I may have to play that again.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I did not know that they ported that. Interesting. But an original Switch one, they don't have.
The last new Mystery Dungeon game they made was for the 3DS in 2015. So, we're pretty far removed.
God! Oh my goodness, that's almost a decade!
I'd forgotten how long ago the port was. The port was released in March of 2020.
Oh, wow. Oh, maybe that's why. Okay, I think I didn't notice that because it was overshadowed by Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, yep.
Yeah.
Yes! The game that was there when the world needed it most.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, that's crazy. Time flies.
That was where I spent the first 6 months of the pandemic. I've told the story before on the show that can't go out, so that's how I socialized with people for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that I had seen other stream talk shows that had led to the inspiration of Vtuber Talk. This is another story I've told before, but there's a guy named Gary Whitta who is a Hollywood writer who's best known for Star Wars Rogue One and Book of Eli. He's done a couple other things. He's done some work for Marvel or DC, I forget which, but Hollywood writer.
Okay.
Hollywood obviously doesn't have a lot to do in the early days of the pandemic either, so he's playing Animal Crossing, and he loves late night talk shows. And he starts a show called Animal Talking. And he just invites, he makes a little talk show set in the basement of his Animal Crossing house, finds a skyline wallpaper, has a desk, chair, drum set for the band and his co-host, couches.
Stop.
And
That's so cute.
He starts inviting people on the show, and he has some contacts in, sort of the acting community, the gaming industry, and it blows up.
Wait, I never heard of that. What the heck?
That he gets coverage in Variety, Entertainment Weekly, mainstream media outlets. By the end of it, he was being featured on the front page of Twitch. He had Selena Gomez announce a new album on a show. He had Josh Gad, Matt Mercer, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox.
Wait, hold on. Wait, what is it called again?
Animal Talking.
How have I never heard of this before?
He had Brie Larson. He had, I'm forgetting his name, but Shang-Chi, that before
Yeah.
Shang-Chi actually had come out, but he had been cast, that he was on the show. He had Danny Trejo. Turns out that
I'm seeing
gritty
that one
Danny
right
Trejo
now.
is actually a huge Animal Crossing fan. Who knew?
That is crazy. I just knew that Elijah Wood was super into Animal Crossing. That's all I knew.
He appeared on the show as well.
I've never heard of this, but wow, I am shocked because I'm a huge Animal Crossing fan as well. So I'm shocked that I've never heard of this before.
It became
That is
appointment
crazy.
viewing for me. And the last show he did was, funny enough, on Halloween 2020. Because we started rolling back up again, and he did a short-lived spin-off in Fall Guys, where, you know, they would talk while playing Fall Guys. That only lasted a couple months, and he still streams every so often, but has not done Animal Talking since. But Animal Talking ends Halloween, and Holo Myth debuts second week of September in 2020. And that's when I fall into the rabbit hole. And it's about December when I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? I want to not be a VTuber. I want to do something. And my mind goes to Animal Talking.
Oh my
And
god,
that's
awesome.
That's the long story of how VTuber
That's
Talk
awesome.
happens.
Wow, I'm just still like shook that I've never heard of Animal Talking.
It's
Like
so
I said, like I'm a
Go
big
back and
Animal
watch
Crossing
If
fan.
you want something to just fall asleep to, frankly,
Yeah.
just the interviews are really good. They are his style of conversation, and that's where I heard about pre-interviews too. He just mentioned it, sort of a passing comment in one of the interviews. I was like, oh, that's neat. Held it in the back of my head, and then when I started VTuber Talking, it's like, I remember that thing. Gary mentioned that thing, and I was like, oh, this is so obvious, and that's how I got it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Dang.
Definitely recommended that. It was the Animal Talking theme as well that I used as the basis when I had ARKHAND make me one. I was like,
Oh my goodness.
something like this.
I love that. I love that.
But I didn't know that you were super into Animal Crossing, so
I am. Yeah, I played every single Animal Crossing game that's come out. Even Pocket Camp on the phone.
ooh, that is the one iteration that I haven't played. And
Oh my god.
I'm now going to ask probably the hardest question of the night, and that's, do you have a favorite villager?
That's hard. That is really hard. I really like Marshall. I like Marshall a lot.
Marshall's
Yeah.
good.
I don't know what it is about him. I love Marshall. But who else? I think Goldie has been a villager that I've always made sure to keep in my village since the GameCube game. Since ever since then, like I've made sure to have Goldie in my village too. Oh my god, Raymond, of course, Raymond when he came out, I was like, oh my god, I need him.
I didn't know the hype. Well, sorry, I knew the hype about Raymond, and
Yeah.
I had no desire to see him. And I was like, all right, he seems neat. And while I'm going on a villager hunt of just, all right, I've stocked up on, like 40-ish or however many tickets, and I'm gonna go until I find somebody I like. I don't have a target, but I have enough that there are certain villagers I just don't like, and I'm going to make sure that I'm able to pass on them.
Yeah.
4th island in, I hit Raymond. I'm like, well, I know this guy's super popular, and if I will take him, and if I just decide that I don't like him, I can go online and someone will pay me $1 million to take him off my hands.
Yes, absolutely. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't remember how I think I got him from another friend, but I was thinking while you were talking, but I think also Wolfgang is a number one fave for me too. Yes, I love Wolfgang a lot. So yeah, I would say like Wolfgang, Marshall, and Goldie are definitely like some of my tops, and then Raymond, of course, but because
those are all different villager types, because Goldie is, I think Goldie is peppy. She's peppy or normal. Raymond is smug.
Yes.
I think that Wolfgang is grumpy. Pretty sure he's grumpy. Could be wrong.
I think he is grumpy. I want to say yes. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but I always made sure I wanted like different villager types. Like I never wanted like all the same. Like I tried to make sure that they were like a different species and a different like type. I also love Roald. Roald's another one that I really like. I just keep thinking about all of them. Yeah. Yes, I always make sure to have different types, whether it's again like their personality or like the species that they are. Yeah.
And that just New Horizons was so good. There was so much added, and obviously I feel like the one thing that everybody agrees on is New Horizons is the best Animal Crossing has ever been in every regard except for one, and that's villager dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like villager dialogue, I've never been too like, whatever. I'm mostly into like the decorating aspect.
Well, in that case, New Horizons just...
Oh, it's perfect for me. Yeah.
You can finally go outside and put stuff outside, the terraforming.
Yeah.
Game changer.
I also did the Happy Home Island too. Love that, especially because like I don't need to kind of like buy and like look for items. I just have it right there.
Yeah, that you just
love that.
You have the full set.
Yes, absolutely. And I was gonna say that with Pocket Camp, like that is the most money I've ever spent on like a mobile game. Like I just loved Pocket Camp so much, so addicted to it. And then I just stopped playing, but I was very on it, like always doing the dailies and logging in every day and making sure like I did like the seasonal stuff. So yeah, Animal Crossing is definitely like another game that has like a place in my heart.
Yeah, I know that I've played everyone since the GameCube as well, that I had
Yeah.
played it at a friend's house when I went over, and just like that. Usually you go to a friend's house and you aren't super eager to just watch them play a game for a couple of hours. But for whatever reason, like the two of us that, he was holding the controller, but we were just sort of, it's not even, I can't understand looking back what it was of why we had such a good time just, parallel playing that game. We're not even playing the game together. Just, it was good and fun. So I picked it up, and, the rest is history from there.
Aw, that's awesome. I think that's like the best when you can have like fun with friends, and even if you're not both playing the game. Like I don't know, I just think that's like the best part about a game. That's how you know the game's good.
Yeah, and I feel like I think Animal Crossing is largely responsible for the boom and adoption of farming simulators in the West. That they'd already been a big thing in Japan. And it wasn't the first farming simulator to make it to the West. Goodness knows that, Harvest Moon had been around, and it had garnered a small fandom. But Harvest Moon has never been a mainstream game series. And Animal Crossing was the one that hit mainstream, and I think that from that it brought so many people in, and some got into other farming simulators, some didn't, but I think that it's responsible for really growing that genre.
Yeah, I would say so. I definitely, well, for me personally, I did love and grow up with Harvest Moon, so I can't really say like I'm not part of that demographic at all that were into farm simulators before, but I will say definitely Animal Crossing is that mainstream type of game that it's just that cozy.
Normalized it, that folks hadn't really heard of that type of game unless you were already specifically in that demographic.
Yeah, definitely.
I've played bits and pieces of Harvest Moon. The only half Harvest Moon game that I've played is I played the first Rune Factory on DS, which is, it's Rune Factory,
Fantasy
a Fantasy Harvest Moon, so it's sort of half and half, and I did enjoy that, and I know that series has actually continued quite a bit. There was a new one recently, if memory serves, because I saw a bunch of people streaming it like 2 months ago.
I think you're right, but it's funny, I actually never got into Rune Factory as much as I loved Harvest Moon, and I don't know what it is, because I love fantasy and I like comfy.
It does feel like it should hit that good crossroads for you.
It should, but I don't know what it was that I just never got into it. It's very interesting. I don't know why.
But you have tried it at the very least. It's not that you just totally missed it, but you tried and it just didn't click.
No, I just never got around to playing it. And so because of that,
in that case, maybe you should.
I definitely, maybe I will. Like, maybe I'll play the newer ones. I think it was just like my friends played it and they were like, oh, you should try it out. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. But I think just because like
you mean to get around to it and then stuff comes up and you forget and it just doesn't happen.
Exactly. And of course, like, when you're like younger, like you don't have the money to spend like willy-nilly, like buying all these games, and I was like,
GameStop didn't give us much for it.
Oh my god, tell me about it. Yeah. And so because of that, like I just never like got around to it. Like I prioritize like the games that I love, like getting like Pokemon or like any Animal Crossing game and like other games that I really liked. So I just never got into that.
Sorry, reeling back a little bit. Going back to Pokemon, now it makes me think about it. Pokemon's never done a farming sim, have they? Like they might have.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so either.
Now I'm wondering why they haven't.
I know, they've done so
Imagine Rune
much.
Factory Pokemon, where you have the farming sim side, and then, because the whole thing in Rune Factory is that you're able to tame monsters. That it's very Monster Hunter-esque, and it's like, wait a minute, we have this whole concept that is the basis here.
Yeah.
And with like there was a Nintendo Direct earlier this year that people joked was the farming sim direct because it felt like every other game was a farming sim.
Oh my
and now
goodness.
I'm wondering, with all the things that Pokemon has done, how have they never done a farming simulator?
That is interesting, actually. Yeah, Pokemon has done so much. That is,
And this one
yeah,
has
I've never
itself.
actually thought about that. Yeah.
Maybe someday.
I hope so. That'd be really fun.
Gosh, now I'm just sort of mentally building out this game. I'm like, so what's the features? How's that work? I'm just, I
I need to pitch this to them.
Yeah.
I mean, that concept that you had for like the Ruby Sapphire past version. I mean, that was amazing in itself. I was like, oh man, you gotta pitch that to Nintendo.
Yeah, well, I'll just call my uncle who works at Nintendo. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. John Nintendo.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Do you have a favorite Pokemon of just? I asked earlier about starters, but just you know, any type of Pokemon. Is there one that you've been particularly drawn to?
There's a few, I would say. I think I love Typhlosion and I love Lucario. I think those two are like some of my favorites. Like I do love the Pokemon movies and I love the Lucario movie. I don't know why. Like I really enjoyed it. So those two I would have to say are my favorites. I have a ton of like, oh, and also, sorry, Eevee. Eevee's another one. I feel like I'm a little basic saying that, but I love like Eevee and all the evolutions.
Okay, well, I was going to ask, are we talking specifically unevolved Eevee or the whole family?
I would say the whole family, but particularly I really like Leafeon, which is interesting because I don't like grass type Pokemon.
Yeah, you mentioned having a water starter,
yes,
mostly fire starters.
Yeah,
I don't think you mentioned any grass starters in the initial list.
No, yeah, which is interesting. But I do love like I would say I love every evolution, but the base Eevee I love. I would say I like Umbreon as well, and then I love Leafeon. And in fact, like my Switch is actually the Let's Go Eevee theme. Because I loved it so much. I was like, I need it. Yeah.
Lucario makes perfect sense, and especially given the context of the movie, because in that movie, Lucario is a knight.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, the next question I was going to ask is, have you seen the Lucario movie? Because if you haven't, I was going to be like, you need to see this movie. Yes.
Oh my god, yes. I love that movie, and I think I love the movie with the title's always like, you know, like get out of my head, but Destiny Deoxys, I remember that title. I loved that one. Pokemon Heroes, amazing. And then the one with Shaman, I don't remember the title, but I love that one as well.
Giratina and Shaman.
Yes.
Is like the second in the Sinnoh pseudo trilogy. That they're all just sort of loosely joined by the fact that Dialga and Palkia are fighting.
Yeah.
I love the Darkrai one. That
one was good.
Just like just the cinematics of that one of their fighting. I feel like it is most front and center there, and that Darkrai is a character, and the Erasion music was just chef's kiss.
Oh my god, yeah.
My other favorite is 2000, which is the one with Lugia.
Yes, of course.
That just, once again, music in that one, really, really good. That it was only recently that I realized my two favorite Pokemon movies are the ones that have a song being played is what resolves the conflict. Oh,
that's funny. I mean, Lugia's song is so good. I feel like it's so iconic.
What's so interesting, though, is the song in the English version, the US, is not the song that they use in Japan. That the plot obviously is the same, that they have Lugia's song, but that the Guardian song in the original version is a completely different piece.
What? I didn't know that.
That it's always sort of puzzled me that I suppose that if you listen to it, it has sort of a more traditional Japanese instrumentation, but I feel like, you know, we're already talking mythical Pokemon and stuff, and like you have Ecruteak City, you could have justified that very easily. So in retrospect, I'm kind of surprised that they decided to frankly give themselves extra work and completely redo all that. I'm glad they did, because like you said, it has become iconic in its own way. I love the Guardian song that we got. It is one of my favorite pieces in Pokemon music, and I wish they would find some excuse to shoehorn it into a game.
Yeah. Oh my god. I wish that when Silver came out, or the Soul Silver came out, I so badly wish that they incorporated it. But wow, hold on, I'm gonna look that up because that is crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah, and that by virtue of that, Lugia's underwater cries are also changed, because Lugia's cries in the English version, that it follows the melody of the song, but because it's a different song in the Japanese release, it has different cries.
Oh my god. Okay, wait, let me. I mean, I guess that makes a little more sense because I feel like the Japanese and English cries are always very different. But
because that one's sort of a like reverse process, that Lugia's cry was designed because of the song that was used.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, that's true. That's true. Also, wow, I'm listening to the Japanese version,
and it's nice. I like
nice,
it.
But
I don't like it as much as the one that we got. I think that we got a better one.
Oh my goodness! Wow, I really didn't know. That is crazy. I mean, I do love like Japanese versions to Pokemon too. Like I've actually watched a few in Japan. Like I watched the Giratina movie in Japan, and I also watched the Hoopa movie in Japan. But the coolest part is that they actually give you the Pokemon in the theaters, which I think is like the coolest thing ever. Like it Bluetooths to your, at that time, my DS.
They just have the distribution centers in the theaters. That makes...
Yes, it is so cool, like to have that actually like happen.
Get that? Why
I don't know. I don't know. Oh my god.
Like, if we ever got it, was always at GameStop. It's always GameStop or Toys R Us.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. Love that though. I love Pokemon a lot.
I haven't seen any of the movies in a while. That I don't think I saw the Koopa movie, and I haven't. I saw a bit of the Pokemon Masters anime. I didn't see it all the way to the end. Heard it was really good. Happy that it went the way it did. But I feel like, you know, again with Pokemon just being very consistent and always having that baseline approachability for kids, that from what I hear, you know, if someone our age goes to a Pokemon movie, no, it's not going to be high cinema, but that it's always what a Pokemon movie should be. Yeah.
I agree. Wow, that's crazy. I definitely need to like just binge watch all of them again.
And now we have it's so weird to think that Ash is no longer the protagonist of Pokemon. That was the one thing that I sort of assumed after like 15 years or so. Okay, they're just in it for the long haul. That it's going to be Ash Ketchum, and if anything, it had to be because not Ash himself, but that Pikachu had become the central mascot of the franchise, and that Pikachu is one of the most recognized fictional characters internationally.
Oh yeah, like, absolutely.
Like Pikachu is up there with Sherlock Holmes and Santa Claus in terms of if you show someone that even if they don't know Pokemon, they will know what Pikachu is.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even like old people know what Pikachu is.
And that I sort of assumed they couldn't write Ash off because they couldn't write Pikachu off, but they proved me wrong because they have a new character with Pikachu, and it's like, okay, that's how you cheat the system there. Just always make sure Pikachu's involved somehow, and you can retain your branding. I never like watched the final episode, but like when they made the announcement, I like cried because I was like, oh my god, just the mere concept of it, of just, even if you hadn't watched the anime, that it felt like such an end of an era, and that you know, obviously they gave him the best send-off possible. They let him finally go out on top, and there you go. That's crazy. Like, oh my god, the end of it all. Oh yes. But now I'm curious, are they going to have the new protagonist go for 10 however many years, or are they now going to start shifting every generation? Because I feel like now that they've broken from Ash, they can do whatever they want. That if you can break 25 years of precedent, that's the worst it's ever going to be in terms of people potentially pushing back. You can get away with anything now. My guess is that they will probably have new protagonists every generation from here on out, a la Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, yeah. Oh yeah, true. I would say that, like, I think that's like
the best approach, because it'll never hit the same way that
No.
like Ash and Pikachu did, for sure. Like,
they,
I have no interest,
I hadn't even
honestly.
thought of it from that particular angle. Just you're never going to top Ash, so
Exactly.
don't try.
Exactly. Yeah, because for me, like, I don't even have any particular interest in even like watching this new like protagonist or anything like that. And I guess for kids now, like, oh, new character, that's pretty cool. Like, they don't have the same like feeling or attachment.
We're not in
you
the
know?
target demographic anymore. Plain and simple.
Exactly. Oh, so sad. And I wish they kind of like shifted Pokemon to kind of like I get it, it's a kids show, you know, but I wish they kind of like shifted some aspects, or like how we talk about like have some games.
A longer running spin-off for an older demographic, but just,
exactly.
Just from a brand management standpoint, that would probably get tricky. And
I just so badly wished for something, even like a spin-off, a game, like anything for like, I don't know, it doesn't even have to be like adult mature, it just has to be like more of it, like a deeper like concept.
Hazumi, you've officially been employed by the Pokemon Company International, given a full development team and an unlimited budget. What is the game that you design?
Oh dear God. Oh my God, you can't put me on the spot like that. I'm not as good as you with this kind of stuff. I don't know. I would just want something with a more like deep, mature storyline. Like something that like, I guess like not traumatic, but definitely something like less that kids will understand.
You
and more like it'll
traumatic. You want dramatic.
Yeah. Like I think like something that'll like really hit like more older people like in the feels. Like I would love something like a more like grown up version of like Pokemon. Where, like, I've seen like things like that, like like you know, like you've grown older, like you've like lost that attachment, something like that. Like you get like isekai or something into the Pokemon world as an adult or something like that. I think that would be really cool. I don't know, something like that, something that has like adult themes, but not like in a weird sexual way, like an actual like a mature like you are an adult, you are a 9-to-5 worker kind of thing sent to the Pokemon world, and I don't know, something like that.
Now, admittedly, it was entirely unfair of me to ask that question because I don't know what I'd answer with off the top of my head either. So I kind of cheated and took a little bit of time to think while you were talking. I think that I would end up either that they got really close to what I wanted with Legends Arceus, so maybe it would just be an iteration on that and expand with the idea of, like I said, either Legends Celebi or Legends Mew, but that does feel a bit like a cheat. So if we were to go just full, crazy with something that's never been done before, I would want probably something, I definitely agree, I'd want something with more heavy narrative themes and just frankly deeper characters.
I think so
they've
too.
done a good job of making it so they've written deeper characters than they did way back when.
But
there's
I would say so.
A bit of a limit to where they can go and how deep they can go. So I would want something deeper characters, and I'm thinking just more traditional JRPG style where you're going to have that longer extended character arc theming and real narrative choices. That it doesn't need to be Baldur's Gate 3 level, but give me some paths. And this is my particular crazy part, because this is what I've wanted either in like a tabletop or something. The concept is you start out as a newly enlisted grunt in Team Rocket.
Okay.
The RPG element of it is, where do you go from there? That do you rise through the ranks of Team Rocket, become an admin? Do you try and unseat Giovanni? Early on in the story, you encounter an Officer Jenny who asks you to become an informant, a double agent. Do you go in league with the Jennies and become a mole in Team Rocket? Do you become a double agent of, all right, report to Giovanni. Jenny thinks that I'm on her side, but I'm actually going to funnel stuff from their side, so you know how to maneuver folks around them and just be able to play and actually have good and evil choices, because you don't get that in Pokemon games. Because it's a children's game. You have to be good. I want that choice in that world.
I like that. Yeah, the more JRPG style, I think would be very interesting. Because I think correct me if I'm wrong, because I know they did that one type of Pokemon game with like feudal Japan. I don't remember.
I think that was
that was
Conquest.
an
I think that was
RPG.
the.
Oh, that was Conquest. Okay, yeah. Was Conquest an RPG? No, you said it was a tactical, more like Fire Emblem, right?
Yeah, there was like Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics-esque, if memory serves.
Yes.
That I wanted to still have conventional Pokemon battle mechanics.
Yes, I agree.
But that you have that type of narrative, that type of choice.
Yeah, I do. Oh my gosh. Wow, that is very interesting. That's crazy.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, but I can dream.
Probably not. But it would, oh my God, it would be amazing.
Who knows, like, I know there have been like a couple of fan games out there. I've never bothered playing any Pokemon fan games, but it's cool seeing what the emulator and just like sort of homebrew creator community has made.
Yeah.
Even if they have to make sure they don't get too big, else they get
yes.
What is it, cease and desisted?
Yep, Nintendo would definitely do that.
And I can understand because yes, it is a very big and valuable franchise, and that you can't have an unofficial game growing past a certain threshold. And I feel like they probably have some basis of threshold because they have to be aware. All right, there's many fan games that have and they aren't serving
Sorry.
No, you're good. No, this is not the first time that it has been discovered that toggles and redeems have been left on.
Yeah.
They probably sort of have a threshold for their lawyers of, all right, when we're not going to waste our lawyers' time pursuing every single fan game out there, but there's some line, some metric for when it is too big, and we serve a cease and desist letter.
True. Wow.
I could talk Pokemon all day, but you mentioned that also Smash Brothers was actually a big game for you. And I'm curious, did you ever get into anything remotely competitive with Smash Brothers, or was it just something that you wound up playing a lot with friends?
Yes and no. So Smash Brothers is actually one of my very first games, because my first like console that was like gifted to me was the GameCube. And I had like Metroid that came with it. I never really played it, but my dad also gifted me my sister's Smash. I want to say that was when I was in around kindergarten. One of my first games, and I played Smash throughout like Melee and like Brawl, just throughout every single one. So that was another game that I had like throughout the series, except for the Wii U one, because I never had a Wii U.
Same. That for being a huge Nintendo fan, that a lot of people missed the Wii U because it just didn't have a library.
Yeah, exactly. And so for the last or the most recent Super Smash game, my ex actually was very into like the competitive scene in a way. Like he didn't really play competitive, but he like knew a lot of like of the competitive players. Like he got to like meet some, and so I met some of them. Sorry, oh my god, sorry, I choked on my spit. And we would kind of like play quote unquote competitively. Like he did small tournaments, and I kind of like just did friend tournaments. Like our friends would like put together tournaments and stuff, and so I got into that kind of thing. And that's like my only like fighting game kind of like, I guess, like experience that I've ever had. But I really enjoy it. Like to this day, I still really like Super Smash Bros. I just haven't played it in a very long time because I don't have it on my Switch. Like my old roommates and my ex did. So I'm like, well, darn. Yeah, right. Oh, damn.
So, easy mode start. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, Raiders. New neighbor November. Yeah. Hope you had a good stream. Easy mode start. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Jay. This is Vtuber Talk, where I guess, you guessed it, I talk to VTubers. I'm talking to Hazumi right now. And Hazumi, if you could reintroduce yourself for the new folks.
Of course. Hi, I am Hazumi, Lioness Knight, here to protect you forever. I am very much into Valorant, Final Fantasy 14, singing, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome.
We just finished probably a good 30+ minute talk about Pokemon, Animal Crossing.
Seriously.
We were just looping back into Smash Brothers. Do you have a favorite installation in the series?
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. My toggle keeps going
they're good toggles. They're very good toggles.
Thank you. I would have to say I really like Brawl. I like Ultimate, but I think Brawl is like my favorite one. I don't know why per se, because I do like Ultimate as well, but Brawl I think was one that I really played a lot. But yeah, I think of course like I play more Ultimate because it's for the Switch. So been playing that a lot. I think that out of all the Super Smash Bros is what I've been playing the most, just because like the recency of it and like how long the console's been out.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I wound up putting probably the most hours into Brawl or Melee as well, and that I know that Brawl, at least as far as the competitive community is concerned, is one of the low points in the series.
Yeah.
It had the frankly impossible task of following up Melee, and then the fact that you could have random tripping. I think that was sort of a deal breaker in a lot of competitive circles of just, all right, that you could have entire matches undone with RNG on that, and that there was no toggle for tripping. If there'd been a toggle, I think there at least could have been a chance for it to have a longer run. But I also think it's kind of doomed just to the entrenched Melee community was so big at that point, and that it's only sort of finally tapered off truly with Ultimate, because Ultimate was so good, and I think we're now just finally far enough away from Melee that that not nearly as many people are picking it up as are naturally falling out of that competitive scene. That I know, because it was still at EVO for the longest time, and didn't even fall out of there until like 2019 or something.
No, it's crazy, and still people are playing like Melee emulators and like I forget what it's called, but it's like an online version that you don't have, like I think you play it on the PC, something like that. But it's just crazy to see like the love for it, you know. And I don't know, I do like Ultimate though, but Brawl I just played a lot.
Yeah, the Ultimate's been fun, but Brawl, I think part of what really made it for Brawl was that's when the roster just, you suddenly believed anything was possible. Seeing Sonic and Snake in the game,
I know,
sort of just, it really made it feel like this is now, it wasn't everybody is here quite yet, but that seeing those ones, that Sonic had been a playground rumor in Melee. I remember hearing about that.
Yes. Oh my god. Who's your favorite in Ultimate, would you say? Like who, either just your favorite character or your main?
Well, so my main in Brawl was always Wolf, and I was so sad to see that he had been cut in a later game, so I was very happy to see him back in Ultimate. I didn't actually play as much Ultimate as others.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But I did fall back to Wolf a lot, but I just sort of bounced around a lot. That usually that I am a spec above average type of player, I feel, where if I were to go to a tournament, I might be able to win 1 or 2 rounds before being completely scrubbed out. But that, you know, if I'm just sitting down with folks in random hangout, that I'll probably not win, you know, every round, but I'll be able to hold my own for most rounds. And that I just enjoy hopping around to different characters, that I'm usually passable with a good third of the roster. And that I just sort of shift up to wherever my fancy takes me throughout a series of games. But my best ones historically have been usually Wolf. I got pretty good with Shulk in Ultimate.
Oh, he's so annoying.
Gosh, I'm trying to think now of some of the others, but Lucas. Got pretty good with Lucas.
Okay.
But that's part of the fun of Smash, that just you have so many characters, so many different styles, and that especially in especially in Ultimate, that they did just an incredible job of balance. And that another one of the things that sort of knocked Brawl was that Meta Knight was broken.
Oh my god, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know much about the competitive scene of Smash, but I know that much.
I definitely like exploited Meta Knight because he was so OP in Brawl.
The first time I played Meta Knight, I thought he was weak, because it's like, all right, his hits don't do much, and they don't have much knockback. He's kind of floaty, and it wasn't until a couple months later when I was asking someone who I knew was in the competitive scene, who was like, so what's good? And he was like, oh, Meta Knight's been banned from tournaments. What?
Oh my goodness.
I wonder if and when we're going to get our next Smash game, because it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
That I'm like, it's weird to think that Masahiro Sakurai is still only like 40, 50-ish. He's on the younger side.
Yeah.
He could be around for a while longer yet. But at the same time, I almost worry. I look at Ultimate and say, how do you follow that up? You literally
I was
did
gonna
it.
say,
Everybody is here, brought everyone back. Is anything after this, if you don't bring it all back, is it now automatically a disappointment? That, the whole thing when Pokemon finally said after 8 generations or whatever that they weren't doing the full Pokedex, that to break that precedent hurt, and that Smash had never been beholden to it. But now they did give us everyone. They did it so damn well.
Yeah.
And I worry where it sets them up.
Personally, I don't know what else they could do. Like, they literally added Sora. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, just like, that reveal trailer of just like Sora had always been the rumor.
Yeah,
always.
yes. It was
always
insane.
Sora, and it was just a running joke. And then, the rumors happen again because, all right, this is the last character. They announced that it would be the last character, and as per usual, the whispers of Sora happen, and it's just, you expect them and you shrug them off at that point because, of course, there's rumors of Sora. There's always rumors. And tuning in was just seeing it of,
it was, I was screaming. I was like, there's no fucking way they really did it. I was baffled.
That it's the type of thing that you think and say, all right, I would have loved to have been in the boardroom and heard whatever Nintendo or Sakurai or whoever it was said to whichever Disney executive to get them to sign off, because it's not just, all right, we'd had Final Fantasy characters, we had Cloud and Sephiroth, and that alone, like, holy crap, Cloud and Sephiroth fighting Mario. That's a huge deal.
Yes, for sure.
Sora, and with Sora comes Disney, and that's an entirely different beast.
Yeah.
And just what meetings, what layers, what sign-offs had to be done to make that happen.
I know. I think about it a lot, like, wow, what did they do to get that?
That I am a business nerd I ask those types of questions of, how did this happen on the back end for agreements? And, like, how does it even work? Is it licensing that who pays who to be in Smash now? That is do these companies pay Nintendo for the privilege of being in one of the biggest franchises of all time? Or is it Nintendo still paying, all right, we are borrowing your IP to add value to our big franchise? What's the arrangement there? And that does it vary from character to character? Because, well, Palutena is a bad example because that's an internal one, but there's like Richter isn't going to be as big a thing as Sephiroth.
Yeah, exactly.
And how does that all happen? And that just from a licensing standpoint, Super Smash Bros. Is one of the most incredible, improbable pieces of media to exist.
Yeah, that's so true.
Just the number of deals, the number of different companies involved is mind-boggling.
I know. That, there's just so much. There's just so much now.
And obviously, there's no way the series is done. It's too successful. They aren't just going to stop making Smash games.
Yeah.
But it'll be the question of how long, and also at what point does Sakurai just say, I'm done. It's nothing personal, but I'm tired.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's slowly getting to that point.
It feels like Ultimate is his magnum opus, his bow out. It feels like he plans to not be involved with the next one, just, not out of protest, not out of any animosity or internal disagreements, but just the guy's earned his retirement, or to, at the very least, make whatever the hell game he wants.
Yeah, I agree. I really don't think he's, I think he did mention it, that he wasn't. I think, yeah. But I can't even see him like following it up, because I think that was it. Like, that was just like, what else can you do at that point? Yeah.
But hey, he got his big moment with Kirby, his original creation.
Yeah, I agree. He's a little guy.
While it does make sense lore-wise, okay, Kirby is able to do interdimensional travel, and that's how he avoided being, frozen and whatnot, I am fully convinced it was because that's Sakurai's
his baby.
That's the one for him, and
I would believe that.
It couldn't be anything else.
Yeah, for sure. Aww.
You were mentioning when we were talking earlier that you don't actually watch a ton of shows, you don't watch a lot of anime. We were talking a bit about different ones earlier, but you mentioned that recently you've been rewatching with your roommate Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra.
Yes. Yeah.
Where are you in your rewatch?
We're on the end of book 2 of Korra.
Okay, so it's and book 2 of Korra. Okay.
Of Korra, yes.
Okay,
yes.
so you are at the bottom, in my opinion.
What do you mean?
That in my opinion, book 2 is the low point of Korra, and book 3 and 4 are the apologies, and I accept their apology.
Okay.
I did not like book 2 of Korra.
Really? Yeah, the harmonic convergence. Yeah. I actually I definitely stopped watching Korra after book 1 when it first came out. I loved Avatar, and I loved everything about Avatar. I remember so much of it, especially rewatching it. But yeah, Korra, it just fell off for me personally. I watched all of book 1, and then book 2 I watched stuff here and there. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm excited to, I guess, kind of watch it for the first time in a way, because I've just hopped around so much with Korra that I've never
have you never
really
seen
sat
books
down.
3 and 4?
I've seen a few episodes. I've seen episodes here and there of book 3 and 4, but I never
you said that this was a rewatch, so I had sort of assumed
it's half rewatch, since I watched a little bit of it. I pretty much
Well, now I'm actually very excited for you, because like I said, I consider book 2 to be the worst, and that 3 and 4 were the apologies.
It is a bit of a drag. Yeah.
And that just you have plenty to look forward to.
Good.
You talk about things getting dark in Pokemon, and lines that aren't generally going to be crossed. And to be fair, Avatar obviously is touted as, and rightfully so in my opinion, as one of the great animated series of our generation.
Oh, absolutely. It'll forever be one of my favorites.
It's so good, and it has aged beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
It has aged
so
well.
Oh yes. I really don't think I don't know. I think it's just one of the best shows ever.
Yeah, and I feel like Avatar walked so Korra could run, and so other series could run as well. But there's a lot of paths and themes that, at least in American media, that would not make it to broadcast or be even really produced for audiences under the age of 17. That you see things starting a lot with The Last Airbender, and Korra is going to go a lot farther. I'm not going to spoil anything now that I know you haven't seen 3 and 4, but it gets dark.
Interesting.
And it gets to the point where they took Korra off the air and released the last parts of book 3 and all of book 4 online.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
And supposedly it was because of ratings, and I think that's only half true, that they had given it sort of a bum time slot and not marketed it well. But I think actually it was because the content got too intense. Because the very first episode that was online release only, I will say what happens. I'm not going to say to whom, and I'm not going to say which episode number it is. So,
oh God,
okay. That this happened.
Oh,
someone gets asphyxiated on screen via airbending. That air bubble around them, and they remove the oxygen.
Oh yes. I did talk about that with my roommate. I don't know who, but I did talk about that with my roommate.
That happened in the first episode that was online release only, and I am very convinced that was why. That they couldn't show that on broadcast.
Yeah, that would make sense. Especially because it's like a quote-unquote kids show.
Yeah,
so
it was a proper death.
Wow, that's crazy.
And a painful one.
That is crazy. Wow. Well, I am excited to see that happen. But I do, now I was wondering why I never really saw it, but it makes sense because it was online. I think I did see 1 or 2 episodes online. I just don't remember anymore. But I'm excited to watch it.
And that, I think at the end of the day, the original series is always going to be held a little bit higher, and I think that's where I fall as a fan as well. I thoroughly enjoyed Korra though, and that they made Avatar Studios recently, and that supposedly there's going to be new stuff. And
yeah, I did hear about that.
I feel like anything we get from here on out, we're playing with house money. We've already gotten so much great stuff, and I hope, and I am actually optimistic because it is the same creative teams doing the new stuff, that I would love to see more. If we can get more of that quality, amazing. I will take more and be happy about it. And if it falls flat, whatever. We still got all this other stuff that was just so damn good.
Exactly. I am very excited. I think that the writers are amazing. I'm excited for it.
Do you have a favorite character from either series?
Oh, Zuko's my favorite always. His I think he just has the best character development, of course, and I was
Zuko's one of those things of that Avatar really pioneered, of just, you don't get that deep a redemption arc for a villain in American animated media.
Exactly. I when we were rewatching it, I was just like, I just want Zuko to be good. Hurry up already. And I forgot that it happened pretty much towards the end. I thought that he had more time of being a good guy.
No, it's third book, second half.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh shit, it's literally towards the end.
That he has the moment of questioning at the end of the second book, and the entire first half of the third book is him pretending to still be the person he was when he and we as the audience know at that point he is not the person he was. Yeah. But that it takes him half the season to accept that about himself, and just the way that he goes, and that it's such good writing. It's so good.
It is. It's amazing. To this day, I'll never not like Avatar. I think I can rewatch that show as many times as possible.
And it feels like there is one of those things that has so many details that you can go back and either see references or recognize world-building pieces or moments, especially if you first watch it when you were a kid. Anything from just either a subtle joke or realizing, oh, this was the moment where this thing happened in the plot.
Exactly.
Everything from subtleties of just the character shifts, that the acting top to bottom was immaculate. It is one of those series where there's a lot of things that get hype and some things get overhyped. I don't think that Avatar is overhyped.
I agree. And I think that there's a lot of I didn't know this, but my roommate was telling me that there's a lot of conspiracy theories with it, and just very interesting ones at that. So I can't think of any at the top of my head, but I'm
now I'm curious of just what type of conspiracy theories about Avatar could there be?
Not conspiracy theories, but just oh my god, I wish I could think of some off the top of my head. I really can't think of any right now, but I've just heard that there's a lot. You could probably YouTube it or something, but I've heard a lot of them. No, some of them are, sorry, I'm reading the chat too, but they're not comic stories. It's actual just stuff like pieced together like from the show, like, oh, this person is related to this person or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do know there's a thing with Zuko's mom and things like that, but that's not like part of it. Yeah.
Also, Mr. Turtle, I almost lost it when I saw I Can Save Azula.
Oh God. But yeah,
Just, top down, like even the villains, the irredeemable ones, and learning after the fact, oh, Mark Hamill was Ozai? Just
yeah.
like me as a kid learning that Luke Skywalker played a villain, and then only later learning, oh, he's also played the Joker for a decade at this point.
Yeah, I did not know that for a long time. Crazy.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, why would you cast Mark Hamill as Ozai? I was like, obviously, he did an amazing job, but wow, what inspired casting? And then I went, oh no, he's everything that he specializes in outside of Luke Skywalker is villain.
Yeah. Very interesting, but yeah, I think he made a great Ozai.
If you could add something of just, sort of similar to the Pokemon question, but you get to write a new series in the Avatar universe, is there some aspect you would want to explore, and it doesn't need to be spearheaded by the Avatar?
Yeah, actually, I think my roommate mentioned something about like wanting like a series where it doesn't like involve like the Avatar gang at all. Like it involves like either like a bender or like a non-bender. And I was just like thinking about it. I was like, I'm like trying to think, like I definitely feel like I would want something that has like some involvement with the Avatar, but I'd love to like go back to just like, like the first Avatar, like the first few Avatars, and just see like that kind of thing. Because we got like that little bit with Juan, but I would just love to see like a whole series about that.
Story, or just, I know there have been Kyoshi comics.
Yeah.
Like, let's get a proper series either with Kyoshi, or heck, like maybe if you just want to get really dark, let's see a full series following Roku. That we got the Avatar and the Fire Lord episode, but what if we just play out that whole thing? That let's see all of that history, or just I don't know, maybe even the life of Ozai.
Yeah.
Like, how does Ozai end up the way he ends up? Because even Sozin, that misguided and wrong as he was, you could at least writing understand, okay, this is why he has this twisted opinion of why this is right.
Yeah.
Whereas Ozai is just so much more extreme, and is
so
it all
evil.
right that did Sozin and Ozai's father was this just sort of the natural progression, or was there an event in Ozai's life that made him so twisted that he couldn't even actually have compassion for his wife and son? That there's more to him, obviously. So maybe that's where I would want to see it.
That would be interesting. I also think it's interesting because like since Zuko's grandparents like are like Roku, and then what was it? Like Roku and Sozin are his grandparents, right?
Yeah,
or not grandparents, but like his.
Yeah, because it was Roku's. Wait a minute, I'm blanking.
I think it was Roku's daughter. Or something like that.
Yeah,
Roku's daughter. Roku's daughter.
Yeah.
Roku's daughter, and then Ozai. Wait. Yes. Wait. Something like, well, anyways, that like Zuko has like the good and bad. So I think like that kind of like storyline would be super interesting too. But yeah, I don't know. I just, it's so hard. Like I wouldn't add anything to Avatar. Like I think it's just amazing. Like the series. Like I really just can't ask for anything else.
Yeah.
Like.
I hope that live action's good, because this is going to be our first time getting a live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yep. It's never been done before. I'm excited for them to be trying this, and it's going to be great. Never been done before.
Nope, never, ever. Very excited for that.
Just again, I'd love to have been in meetings and figured out how Smash Brothers wound up. I'd love to have been in meetings and figured out who the hell greenlit that and said, this is suitable for release?
Yep. I've never, my dad is like a movie buff. He like loves movies, but he has never been so upset with me to take him to a movie before.
It's like, I went in with low expectations. I saw it in theaters, and like,
same.
I was coping.
Yes.
Hard throughout of just like, okay, I can understand why they changed it. They had to make it only 2 hours, and like, well, I noticed with all the mispronunciations, it was the first.
I was gonna say that.
It was the first vowel of every name that became extended.
Yeah, I was like,
Ong.
Ong.
Okay, that was
Ong.
Weird. Ong, Iro, Soka. It's the first vowel.
Yes.
So they did something linguistically, and it was like, that's weird, but okay, at least you made it consistent. Fine, I'll overlook it. It doesn't change the characters. The acting, well, they're child actors, so I can't expect them to be that good at acting.
Yep.
No,
It was yeah. My dad was genuinely angry that he spent money going to that movie. Yeah, it was, in my mind, it does not exist.
Nope.
Yep.
At the very least, the upcoming live action, I feel like, whereas Brawl is going to consistently so Brawl struggled against Melee because it was so good, and that anything following up Ultimate is going to struggle because Ultimate has so much and is so good that the upcoming live action for Avatar is starting with an easier thing because nothing could be worse.
No.
They would have to try to make it worse. And
I agree.
Sure that they know the baggage that they're dealing with and are actively, like, they're probably case studying the original, so I'm sure it won't be as bad. But because of that also, I think people are going to be more lenient of it just because it's not what we got the last time.
Yeah, I agree. Goodness.
But I hope. But I know that you've had a very, very long week, and that it is getting a little, well, actually, I suppose, I can't say you've had a long week, it's Monday, but you've been very busy in the past week, and you already had a long Monday. So, start wrapping
lots of work.
up. I have a couple of questions that I ask all my guests at the end of the show.
It's
the only part of the consistency in my questions. And the first is, do you have any goals for the remainder of 2023 that there isn't much left? There's a little under 2 months.
I was going to say, I was like, oh man.
And I'm not necessarily saying, all right, you can embark on something new and go start to finish on a goal, but is there any, are there any covers that you plan to have out by the end of the year? Is there a particular type of stream that you're hoping to do before the end of the year? Anything before we hit 2024?
Yeah, I would say, and I think this goes into 2024 as well, but I would really like to start focusing my attention on, more event-like streams where like I do something fun with friends, and turn those into like YouTube videos, and turn my focus on like YouTube, like past covers and past like ASMR videos. Like I want to actually create content that is, watchable in a like an off-stream sense. Like it's not live, like it's pre-recorded. Yeah. So I do want to work on like that kind of stuff. And
you mentioned that you were getting into editing for that. We didn't talk much about your editing. The stuff about the clips, but you had actually mentioned me before the show that you haven't done any long form edits before. No.
And so I would probably commission, editors to do that. I've been in talks with editors as well. And so they were like, I guess kind of suggesting to me like, if you want to do this long form stuff, like it does cost money, of course. And it would be better to, do actual event like streams instead of your typical like gameplay streams, unless it's like a special kind of game, So I was like, okay. And so I've, started creating ideas and trying to, again, shift my focus to that. And so that's something that I want to do for the end of 2023, the remainder, and as well into 2024 as well, kind of like try to grow my YouTube now. And like, because I think like I'm in a sense like plateauing on like Twitch and Twitter. And so I think I need to move to YouTube, and I think that'll help me grow a lot.
Well, you have the option to simulcast now that I haven't set it up
I
here.
I do, yeah.
Part of the reason that I never actually took affiliate, that my channel's unmonetized by choice, part of it was because I didn't want to have to deal with any of that, but also part of it was that I wanted to keep the option of simulcasting open, and then they took that away from even non-affiliates
Yeah.
4 months ago, and then did this hard 180 at TwitchCon where it's like, okay, now everybody, even partners, unless you have a unless you have a specific prearranged contract with Twitch, which is just a very, very small proportion of folks that you're allowed to simulcast anywhere, and that
very crazy.
You can't do the multi-chat, and that seems to be just a thing of Twitch moderation policies, not necessarily aligned with other platforms' policies. So, meh. But hey, you can multi-stream now, and I should actually get that set up myself.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. And yeah, I've done YouTube streams as well, and I've been doing streams on VStream as well. So just, I guess, like, pushing myself out there is what I'm really like aiming for the rest of 2023 and into 2024. Yeah.
And I think you're in a very good position to do so.
Thank you. I'm trying.
And then the last question I ask all my guests is, what does being a VTuber mean to you? And that's not what is the definition of a VTuber, but that different people get different things from VTubing. That I've had folks say, VTubing lets me get in touch with my inner child. It lets me be someone I can't be in real life. I've had others who take a more clinical approach and say, it's a tool in my tool belt as a content creator that I know I could be a facecam streamer, but I like being able to switch my outfit, ignore the laws of gravity, and do a bunch of silly stuff that VTubing lets me do. But I don't really have a deep connection with my model. And those are two pretty far ends of the spectrum, and that things in between or even beyond are all totally legitimate. There's no wrong way to be a VTuber. So for you, Hazumi, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
For me, I think what made me just love VTubing, and I actually did used to be a face cam streamer, and I completely switched over, like just left it all behind, because I think I just love the way that VTubing lets people's personalities shine through. I've mentioned this before on other streams, but I think I don't think people hide behind a model. I personally think having a model is what really lets your true personality shine through. And like I said earlier, I feel like no one has ever commented on my talking voice until I became a VTuber, which is super interesting to me. And I think like having this model like really just lets me be myself. So I think that's what VTubing means to me. I think it just like means like accentuating like your personality, like how people say like, oh, makeup like, you know, accentuates your beauty. I think it's kind of the same thing where it just is able to accentuate your personality.
I always ask at the end of the show, because while I never know exactly how somebody will answer, the answers always make sense. Even after just talking to someone for a couple hours, and that I've said multiple times throughout the show that you have certain points of consistency. And I find that a lot, that just, you know, people have lots of different interests and reasons in that. Obviously, people are not one note, but that you can find certain little aspects and threads of, oh, they enjoy this and they enjoy all these different things, with the underlying connection being that they enjoy this one other thing, or that they like this aesthetic, or that these themes appeal to them. And that for you and just the conversations we've had tonight, your answer, once again, does very much make sense. And that with your new model and with the different places that you are expanding your content to, that I think things are all coming together very nicely, sort of at the same time, actually. So I think that there's really never been a better time for you to be doing this expansion coming off the heels of the big redesign, which has obviously done so much for you. So I look forward to seeing what you end up doing for the rest of 2023 and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am really excited. I really hope I can, I don't know, push myself a lot more.
I think there's a lot of potential. I do actually have one last question.
Yeah, of
who
course.
Would you like us to raid? I would let you look around a little bit while I take care of some last housekeeping.
I did not think about that.
You're good. So for anybody in chat, that if you've been here since the start of the show, got raided in or tuned in somewhere along the line, thank you so much for being here. If you are interested in more shows like this, I do these about once a week. I don't have consistency because I do try to schedule around my guests, but if you want to keep up with me, you can just follow me here on Twitch and on Twitter at Vtuber Talk, also on Blue Sky now. I need to start remembering to mention
I forgot about that too.
That this will be up on YouTube, hopefully within a week or so, that I have the full archive of all my shows up there, which will now be 130, which is, you know, that number just keeps ticking upward.
Crazy.
But Yes, so thank you so much, and thank you
Yeah.
again to I feel so bad I forgot the name of the person who raid. Easy mode start. I was like, it was something start. Easy mode start. Thank you again for raid, and to any raiders who stuck around, and to any Hazuminis as well.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry I couldn't go on longer. I love talking about things I don't really get to talk about, but I'm so tired. So I totally appreciate you.
No, I think
well.
that it's been such a joy. So
yeah.
that,
No, I had a
these were
great time.
A wonderful 2.5 hours.
Yes.
You have a raid target for us.
Yes. I'm thinking my friend Yumemi. I actually don't see her streaming too often, so I definitely want to give her some support.
Awesome. Well, folks in chat, let Yumemi know that Hazumi sent you all. Have a great rest of your night. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Hazumi. Have a wonderful week, day.
Yes.
I'm Jay. This is Vtuber Talk, and I will see you all next time.
Yay!